volver a florecer, que estas lágrimas requieren un ayer. Voy a luchar, no tolerar a las mentiras,
Okay, this is good, right? So can I close this one?
no perdonar, ni
Okay, so
olvidar
we're done with this,
los
right?
asesinos que
I'm gonna tell
sigan a
Jessica.
It's showing an ad right now.
batallar.
No, they're playing the video. Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna tell Jessica that
Desahogar, para respirar, pues sin el aire cómo puedo nadar.
all right. Oh wait, so I should go back to this screen, right? Okay. All right. And then when we start, I stopped screen share. I stopped playing the video. I stopped screen share.
Yeah, for the time being, just have the camera on.
Erica.
Then when she's
Okay.
ready,
When she's ready.
share her.
Okay. 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 Thank you. I think I've repeated this step like 10 times.
You know, some reassurance.
You know, this is actually better for me. We should have seen it in the commercial.
Yeah.
I freaking freaked out.
Yeah.
I cried. I was
Adiós a la y en la madrugada está. Yo estoy cansado de esta sociedad.
Actually, I did have help then too. There's another hard time. The lessons weren't there because he had to like be like, oh,
Acompañado de la sociedad.
you don't want to do that.
4 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Y el amanecer dejó la pena atrás. Déjala ya, sale para atrás, no con las heridas. Se va con la puesta del sol.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes. For the folks that are posted in the lobby, if I could ask y'all to move yourself, grab a seat over here. If there's no more space over here, feel free to navigate to the other side of the space over here. All right?
Espíritu vivo, te digo mi primo que cuando sonrío me da equilibrio. Evito vampiros, suspiro, retiro, respiro el aire y grito al valle. Inspiro delirio, envío mis tiros como escopeta secreta. Respeta al poeta, sujeta maleta. La meta que tengo es suelta la lengua. Disparo como metralleta, librando a las marionetas. La vieja escuela te manda tareas, pero que lo completa. Es otra forma de ser, forma de ver a el poder. Pero primero espero vea que lo que dicen adiós a el ayer. Adiós al ayer, la madrugada está. Acompañado en la búsqueda. Y el amanecer dejó la pena atrás.
Creativity, the ability shown. The lyrical flows are letting you know that his spiritual soul has grown to a higher level, rising. I'm gonna get it so lit when I enter the zone. Because what I bring is light, seeking a flip reciprocal mode. The hotter the audible flow, the sooner the mind of the blow. On top of the glow, phenomenal para la masa, la mama, la chava, es mano a mano. You know I'm out of control. Don't even try to deny it. We making it grow, breaking the mold. I'm seeking to see you quiet. I recommend you take a second to reckon if you could step. Too many politricking, ranting and raving and claiming they do the best. The truth exists. It's all just ludicrous to me. I'ma keep on making music while the foolishness proceeds and keep on rising up in spite of the fact this world's so hazardous. The chains of fate remain. It's not easy to be a pacifist. The fact of the matter is, I don't know if the bombs will stop. A wise man once said, water is stronger than rock. Like that, y'all.
Adiós a la guerra, madrugada está. Ya llegó el sol y sigue brillando.
capture, right? And then how do we make sure they get to see? Double click that. That's it? Yeah. Okay, go. Thank
I don't know how quiet it just got, like just, dang, I wasn't expecting that. All right, so good morning, everybody. Right on, right on. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2023 Ethnic Studies Summit here at Chabot College. Whether you're joining here in person or you're joining us digitally, watching live stream through Zoom, welcome officially and make some noise for yourselves. Oh, I know it's like, this random dude just walked up, everybody started talking. Just a little introduction to myself. I will be Andrew White, the instructor in the Department of Ethics here at College. I'll be doing- And so to get officially grounded in the space, just to get it right. And so, right? So the first direction that I want you to do, right, is when I say the word really, right? Well, let's try it. Really? Oh, somebody already know, right? Somebody.
They can't hear you really good. Can you come to my-
Got you. All right. So the first term is, let's try it. Really? Means rub your hands, right? All right, cool. Everybody got it for the most part. All right, the second term is patia, right? When you hear patia, see? My homie in the front knows what's up, yeah, see? When I say patia, it means clap once, all right? So mili means, right? Rub your hands, right? Mili. Patia. All right, let's go. Y'all listening. That's what's up. Right on. Okay. Patia. 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 All right. That's level one. Good job. Y'all get an A. Level one. Level two, all right? When I say who am I, it means clap twice. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? All right, let's try all three of them, all right? Let me listening. That's it. Who am I? Who am I? Last one, all right? When I say hip hip, y'all say, hey, hip hip, hip hip. All right, now let's try all four of them together, all right? Hey, hey, that's it. That's it. Who am I? Who am I? Hip hip, hip hip. Welcome, y'all. Make some noise for yourselves, yeah? All right, so this whole was a labor of love, and there's no way we could have done this without community. So we want to take this time to give a thanks to many folks who helped make this event happen today. So we want to give a shout out to our sponsors, the Dean of Social Science, Dr. Bobby. Councilman student life. We just want to give a shout out to our planning team, volunteers, came through, make this happen. Specifically, Arashi Unit, the Yes Class, Ian Fisher, Alan David, Ron Martinez, Jasmine McDowell, and Lisa Rivers. We also want to give a shout out to facilitators, program, change it now. my housekeeping rules. So we have bathrooms, right? They're actually right behind y'all, right? If you head out to the lobby, make a left. It's to the left of the automatic doors right here. On the side is to the right. The automatic is here. So first, move in. Access. New to our campus. Cover community. Asking folks to wear masks. It's very safe. At the middle, work sites. Yeah? Also, the other thing to keep in mind is to think about yourself when you're more so towards lunch. And the other thing is, please don't block the entrances to the doors with the fire hazard. We're just trying to keep everything safe for the most part. To capture like your summit stats of right? CCE 23. So those are the rules. This is, so, we got I like the passion though. You understand? I appreciate that. Hip, 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 hip. All right, I want to take this time. Make some noise for y'all.
One second, sorry. If you wouldn't mind using this mic, and we're gonna turn this one off. We've been having some audio issues on Zoom, so we're gonna test that out. Thank you.
Portia Tuhi, Kanakraka, Monica Viariano, Wetrish Kuchush, Moak Maloney Tribe, San Francisco Bay Area. Good day. I greet you in our native Chochenyo language. My name is Monica Viariano. I am the Vice Chairwoman for the Moak Maloney Tribe of the San Francisco Bay Area. Ganaming Kanak Apakush Joel, Chocho Kanak Papakush Albert, Chocho Kanak Melekush Mercedes, Kanak Suyakma Marin. I am the daughter of Joel Ariano, granddaughter of Albert Marin Ariano, and great-granddaughter of Mercedes Marin. I am from the Marin lineage. My native ancestors were baptized at Mission San Jose going back to the year 1814, when my great-great-great-grandmother, Efrena Kinatole, was missionized into Mission San Jose from her village on the north side of the Carquines Strait. Her husband, Liberato Culpexi, from the Saclan and Halquin tribes, was baptized at Mission San Francisco in 1801. With me today is Moak Maloney tribal member and former councilwoman Gloria E. Ariano Gomez. We are Moekma Aloni. Welcome to Moekma's ancestral homeland, where we are born. Menemu nepetuhi exuyakma Moekma. Makin mak Moekma wulwulam. Akoy makware mani makiswi. On behalf of our people, Moekma La Gente, we would like to offer an official welcoming to our ancestral homeland, to this ethno-historic tribal territory of the intermarried Halkin Irgen Chochenyo Ohlone-speaking tribal groups. Today, Chabot College, the city of Hayward, and surrounding towns reside in our ancestral Moekma Chochenyo Ohlone-speaking territory. We welcome everyone in attendance at the Ethnic Studies Summit 2023 at Chabot College to our Horsheware, our beautiful ancestral homeland. I would like to thank Chabot College for inviting us to today's event and for offering a land acknowledgement. You can visit our website, moecma.org, for more information about our tribe. Now we'd like to present the following: Moecma Warep Dashu, Moecma Ohlone Tribal Land Acknowledgement. We would like to recognize that while we gather at Chabot College, located in Hayward, California, for the Ethnic Studies Summit 2023, we are gathered within the ethno-historic tribal territory of the intermarried Halkin Irgen Chochenyo Ohlone speaking tribal groups, who were the direct ancestors of some of the lineages enrolled in the Moecma Ohlone tribe of the San Francisco Bay Area, whom were missionized into missions Santa Clara, San Jose, and San Francisco. The present-day Moecma Ohlone tribe, with an enrolled Bureau of Indian Affairs documented membership of over 600 members, is comprised of all the known surviving Indian lineages aboriginal to the San Francisco Bay region, who trace our tribe's ancestry through the Missionicma, missions Santa Clara de Tamien, San Jose, and San Francisco. During the advent of the Hispano-European Empire into Alta California, beginning in AD 1769. Makmoekma Suyakma, our Moecma families, are the successors and living members of the sovereign, historic, previously federally recognized Borona Band of Alameda County, now formally recognized as the Moecma Ohlone tribe of the San Francisco Bay Area. Moecma means la gente, the people, in our native Chochenyo language. The land on which Chabot College in Hayward is established was and continues to be of great significance and historical importance for our Moecma Ohlone people. The Chabot College campus extends to surrounding areas that held several tupentaks, traditional semi-subterranean ceremonial roundhouses. Tupentaks were places of celebration, healing, spiritual cleansing, rituals, dances, intertribal feasts, and religious ceremonies. The Chabot College campus also extends to nearby ancestral heritage shell mound sites, such as those located at Mayan Chatoshikma, Coyote Hills, and along the bay shore surrounding the greater Berkeley and Emeryville areas, which had traditionally served as our Moecma Ohlone tribe's territorial monuments and ceremonial cemetery sites for high lineage families, craft specialists, and fallen warriors. The region surrounding the city of Hayward and Chabot College is where many of our tribe's ancestral heritage cemetery and village sites are located, especially adjacent to freshwater corridors such as the San Lorenzo, Saliandro, Castor Valley, Sulphur, and Ward Creeks. These riparian corridors supported adjacent and nearby ancestral settlements and cemeteries, and may have since been destroyed as a result of unbridled development. These localities are viewed as significant and sacred places for our people, and it is acknowledged by scholars that these lands had been previously managed by our ancestral tribal groups. Today, we, the Moecma Ohlone tribe leadership and members, work as stewards, addressing and protecting many of our up to 10,000-year-old ancestral heritage and village sites, such as the location of the nearby Fairmont County Hospital. This was a place of one of our tribe's major rancherias called the Springs during the middle to late 1800s, where our families planted various crops and raised cattle, as well as the historic 19th and 20th century Alisad, Pleasanton, Niles, Sonol, and Livermore rancherias. As mentioned earlier, the city of Hayward is established within our Moecma ancestral Halkin Irgen Ohlone tribal ethno-historic territory, which, based upon the 18 unratified federal treaties of 1851 to 1852, includes the unceded historical lands of the Moecma Ohlone tribe of the San Francisco Bay region. Missions San Jose, Santa Clara, and San Francisco records document that many of the enrolled Moecma lineages are directly descended from the Halkin Irgen Chochenyo Ohlone speaking tribal groups. Also, some of the enrolled Moecma lineages are descended from direct ancestors from neighboring Ohlone tribes who were intermarried with Mission Santa Clara Clareños, Mission San Francisco Doloreños, and Mission San Jose Chocheños Indians. It is important that we pause and recognize the history of this Aboriginal land of our ancestral Halkin, Irgen, on which we gather to participate, enjoy, learn, and honor, but also acknowledge that the first people of this region, the Muwekma people, are alive and thriving members of Hayward and the broader Bay Area communities today. Even though our tribe was denied a land base through the gross negligence of derelict BIA officials after our tribe was first federally recognized in 1906, it is because of the tenacity, tuiheshte, strength, and legacy of our ancestors and elders that Makmawekma, our people, have been able to maintain our identity and traditions and keep our culture and Maknono, our language, alive. Furthermore, Makmawekma Wulwulam, Suyakma, our Muwekma Ohlone Indian families have never abandoned our traditions or left our Aboriginal ancestral homelands of the Bay Area. Today, we attempt to repair the sustained ecological, environmental, natural, and cultural devastation to our tribe and our lands. Wrought by over 251 years of colonial processes of disenfranchisement and marginalization through the politics of erasure by elements of the dominant society. Nonetheless, we are focused on keeping our traditional culture tuiheshte, strong, while we work for an ewek, bright and favorable future for Mak Shininikma, for our children, and ensuing generations as we follow in the footsteps of Mak Michishkush, our ancestors. Mak Unyik Rashe, we ask respectfully and request that the good citizens of the city of Hayward and surrounding towns strive to be faithful stewards on behalf of the Muwekma tribe by maintaining the bay, freshwater creeks, native plants, animal habitats, and the air we all breathe. Furthermore, we request that Chabot College, the city of Hayward, and surrounding towns within Alameda County honor the military service of the Muwekma men and women who have honorably served overseas during World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, Iraq, and who are still serving the United States Armed Forces today, and honor the tribal veterans and service members from California, North and South America who have served this country with dignity and honor. In closing, it is of great spiritual significance to acknowledge the special relationship of this Holshe Wadep, beautiful land, to the indigenous Muwekma tribe of this region, as well as all the people residing in the Bay Area. We respectfully request that everyone who lives, works, or visits Chabot College in Hayward be respectful of our Aboriginal lands, waterways, and natural habitats, and consistent with our principles of community, diversity, and inclusion. Strive to be good stewards on behalf of the Muwekma tribe on whose Aboriginal lands you are our guests. Makish Horshe Makina Utashput Makamakiwe. Thank you. And on behalf of the Muwekma tribe, we hope you celebrate, honor, and stand in solidarity with all Muwekmash indigenous people with their struggles to reverse the adverse colonial legacies affecting all people of color in Hayward, the Greater Bay Area, California, the United States, and the Americas, as we gather and reflect on the sacred lands of the Halkin Irgen, the ancestors of the Muwekma tribe. Aho, Kishore Shekinan, thank you. One last thing I'd like to add is this Sunday from 3:30 to 5, we're actually having a postcard writing event here on campus. And if anyone is going to be here or would like to join us, please visit and stop by and fill out a postcard. These postcards will be sent to Congress and they will reflect your support for our tribe's restoration as a federally recognized tribe. Visit our Facebook page, Muwekma Ohlone Tribe, for more information. Thank you so much. Oh, that's not what I want to do. How do
Okay.
you make this?
Better? Yeah. Thank you again, Monica and Gloria, for that line acknowledgement and gracing this space for us and officially welcoming us. Appreciate you, much appreciation. Move forward with the program. We also want to bring in a couple of admin from our school with the college welcome. I'd like to introduce Vice President of Academic Services, Dr. Jamal Cooks, and Vice President of Student Services, Dr. Matthew Critcher. All right.
All right, good morning, everyone. Let's try that again. Good morning, everyone. This is awesome to see you all here, these wonderful, beautiful faces here on the Chabot campus. My name is Jamal Cooks, and I'm the Vice President of Academic Services here. And to let you know, I started my career as a middle school and high school teacher. Skyline High School, anyone ever heard of Skyline? Yes, so I used to teach at Skyline back in back in the day. Let me ask you this: what I don't know who's represented here. Is Hayward Schools? Is any Hayward Schools here? Logan, okay, yeah. Give yourself a round of applause. San Leandro. You got me on that one. You got me on that one. Leadership from Oakland. All right, yeah. Did I miss a school? Castro Valley. Yeah, you say yeah. Anyone else? Any other schools? Well, that's wonderful. We like to welcome you here. And at Chabot, we are really, really excited about a lot of different things that we do in the classrooms and regarding our curriculum, our instruction, the kinds of courses that we offer, the ways that we can have you all be able to take classes to gain skills that you need, hard skills and soft skills, in order to be able to get jobs moving forward. And so one of the things that I think is really important about ethnic studies, I used to teach social studies. And so ethnic studies is very near and dear to my heart. I think it's very important for us to be able to talk about the wonderful, the beauty of the range of the skills, of the norms, the traditions of all people. And so I think that this summit, and I want to make sure to give credit to Kay Fisher and the team. Let's give them a round of applause. That it's going to take events like this for us to be able to move forward to deconstruct some of these issues around anti-racism and sexism and all the other isms. And so with that, I'd like to introduce my counterpart, VP Matt Critcher.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cooks. It is so great to be here and to help welcome all of you to Chabot College and this really amazing event. This is one of my favorite events that we do because it shows, I think, very clearly how dedicated Chabot College is to lifting up the voices of all of our community members, of our Muwekma Ohlone partners and friends, and the indigenous peoples of our society, all of our students from diverse backgrounds. And we're just so pleased that you're here. I also just want to thank all of you, the students, for coming and taking your time to say, hey, let's give Chabot a try to see what it's all about. And I think you'll find we're one of the most welcoming communities, colleges that you'll find. Chabot College has a legacy of really celebrating our Latinx community with the Puente program that founded right here at Chabot College and now is not only statewide, but nationwide. Over 40 years ago, Chabot College founded Puente. Also, we were the founders of the Emoja project and community because that started here over 35, 37 years ago, and that's also gone statewide and nationwide. But that wasn't enough. We realized we needed to do better. And there's some folks in the room that also helped lead our first API community called Movement. And that program is a really amazing program. We have our project director of our Anna Peasy grant, our Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander Serving Institution grant, Arnold Paggio and Mike Lai is a principal investigator with that program. So we wave to Arnold and Michael and the team there. And that's to go along with our nothing is ever enough attitude. We also put in for, and we're excited to receive the college's largest grant in history of our college. It's a Hispanic Serving Institution STEM grant. And the whole purpose of that grant is to help show, in particular, our students of color, our Latinx community, our low-income students, you can do STEM, you can do math. Every single one of you is a brilliant person and a beautiful person that can do anything you want to do. Come here, Let us help celebrate your culture. Let us help celebrate your individuality, your families. We're all about families here at Chabot. We do a Discover Chabot Family Night, the start of every semester. Great opportunity to have the kids and parents and all of you come and just, find out what it's all about. We do campus tours like you're doing today and events beyond that all year long that are just such a wonderful opportunity to come together in community. So I could go on. It's just so exciting to be here. And I'm just really honored to be an administrator and to partner with all of the faculty and the classified and our student leaders in this wonderful event. And I hope that you have a great day today because I know that you will. And again, thanks, big props to our faculty in ethnic studies. We have 2 full-time faculty and several part-time faculty, and not every college has that. I just want you to know the entire faculty community prioritized the ethnic studies faculty position, I think, as the #1 position for the whole college. When we only had about 6 or 7 positions for the whole college came together and said, let's prioritize ethnic studies to show our community how important it is to celebrate and to lift up the ethnic groups that all come together in this beautiful community. So thanks again. I don't want to go on too long. I want to turn it back over to Professor K. Thanks and welcome to Chabot College.
Thank you, VP Cooks, VP Kritcher, for the amazing Chabot welcome. And I'm gonna pass it on to 2 students who's gonna introduce our keynote speaker. Let's give it up for Siklali and Jaslyn, y'all. Make some noise for them, y'all.
Hi, I'm Jaslyn. My pronouns is she, they. And before we give the official introduction, we just want to say that we're former students of Arai, but forever family. And we're SJ alumni. And we're really honored to introduce someone who's impacted and inspired our lives so much. We can confidently say that we wouldn't be where we are now without you. And she held such a safe space for us that really allowed us to oh my goodness, to begin to feel and heal and become empowered in who we are. And I just want to say, without we thank you for everything you've done for us. And we love you. Okay. Good morning. My name is Ikali. My pronouns are she, her. I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker. Erica Varai Santos is a radical mother, partner, educator, organizer, and Panay that was born and raised in the Bay Area. Ethnic studies at James Logan High School and UC Berkeley gifted her with decolonization, agency, and healing that led her to community organizing and education. She has been a community organizer for over 2 decades and a high school teacher for the last 18 years. She started her career at James Logan High School, teaching in the Ethnic Studies department. However, for the past 15 years, she has been a teacher and the coordinator of the Social Justice Academy at San Leandro High School, a program rooted in ethnic studies serving youth and families that focuses on building knowledge, community, and solidarity. Last year, Varai was named San Leandro Unified School District and Alameda County Teacher of the Year and was one of the finalists. And was one of the finalists for California Teacher for for California Teacher of the Year. She was also given the Educator of the Year award for the 18th Assembly District by California Assembly member Mia Bonta. Varai is currently doing work with the Justice for Stephen Taylor campaign and the Liberated Ethnic Studies module curriculum consortium. Varai truly believes that none of the aforementioned would have been possible without ethnic studies, because just as many say, ethnic studies saved her life.
Oh, yeah. That's what we're doing. Y'all trying to make me cry before I'm already nervous enough. Y'all trying to make me cry when I first get up here. I'm not gonna lie, I'm so nervous right now. How y'all doing?
I don't know why I'm so nervous. I'm looking out, I'm seeing so many of my family members out here today. And so I just gotta breathe real quick. You know, I gotta stretch it out real quick. You know? Guys, do you want a little jump real quick? Okay. Don't laugh at me, yo. Like, you laugh, I'm gonna laugh. Stop. I gotta be serious. Okay. Do I put it on the slides, yo? Oh, no. I was like, no. I want to say, Jaslyn and Siklali, that such an honor being introduced by y'all today. I love y'all very, very much. Always family, forever. You know that. Just looking at you makes me want to cry. You do a little like you did. But stop before I even start. I can't look at you because I'm gonna do it. Hey, yo, I know that I'm nervous and I need to start the right way. What? Oh, it's gonna be up. You're good, you're good. My students are like, right, turn it up. Okay, we're gonna turn it up. I know that we want to start it the right way. And so I'm, of course, going to start it with my family. My family is going to join me up here. The SJA class of 2023 is going to come up here with me just to start it out, just so we got some good energy going in the space today. Okay. Because ethnic studies is love, ethnic studies is community, ethnic studies is resistance, and our love, our hope, our joy, our laughter, our rhythm, all of that is resistance. So we gotta start it the right way. Can you turn that up? Yo, you better join us up here. Don't be shy, don't be shy. Now, if you are able, you better stand up like you know that we're in the bed.
Ooh, tell me when to go. 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 Tell me when to go.
Now let me direct traffic for a minute. Let me tell y'all about this hyphy movement we got going in the back. When I say something, you say it right back at me. You smell we're gonna do it like this here. Ghost ride the whip. Ghost ride the whip. Ghost ride the whip. Ghost ride the whip. Now scrape, 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 scrape. Put your stunner shades on. 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 Now gas, brake, dip, dip. Gas, brake, dip, dip. Shake them dreads. Shake them dreads. Shake them dreads. Shake them dreads. Let me see you show your grit. 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 Now fierce, sex, fierce, sex, fierce, sex, fierce, sex. Doors open, man. Doors open, man. Doors open, man. Doors open, man. Now watch them swing. Watch them swing. Now watch them swing. Watch them swing. Go stupid. Go. Go. Go stupid. Go. Go. Ooh. Tell me when to go. 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 Tell me when to go.
I gotta catch my breath. Wait, gotta catch my breath. I'm getting a little old, y'all. Hey, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Fun fact for all of you in this space. That song, it came out my very first year as a teacher. It was 2005, 2006 school year. So me and E40's Tell Me When to Go, turning 18 years in the classroom that I've been in the classroom. That song is turning 18 years old also. And honestly, every single year that I've been teaching, that song has always been in my classroom. Either I put it on or the students put it on, and we do. Like the students who are here with me today, they know every year that song comes on, Hyphy will never die. And I won the day. And so that song, it means a lot to me. Honestly, I know it means a lot to my students. Whenever it comes on, all of us look at each other. Like we could be in separate, completely opposite parts of the room. That song comes on, and it's like, and we look at each other like, are we gonna go? That song definitely means a lot to me and my students over the past 18 years that I've been a classroom teacher. Hold on, y'all. Before I get started today, I actually would like to bring in Russell City into this space. I want to ask, how many folks in here have heard of Russell City? Okay, I'm glad to see some hands go up. Right? And if you all don't know, if you've never heard of Russell City, actually about a mile, even less than that, half a mile from here, Russell City sat, like close to where I'm pointing that way, I know it's that way. Okay, going towards San Mateo Bridge, that area that's now an industrial park, that used to be Russell City. Right, so what was Russell City? Russell City was a thriving, vibrant, safe haven for families of color. At a time, this is almost 60 years ago, at a time when people of color had a hard time finding a place to rent and buy homes in the Bay Area because of racist housing policies like redlining, restrictive covenants. They couldn't find a place to live. So Russell City was their safe haven. At the same time, Russell City was named the West Coast Mecca for the blues. And amazing, legendary artists like Ray Charles and Etta James, they performed in Russell City. And they were like, if I can make it in Russell City, I can make it anywhere. So the question is, where's Russell City at today? And how come there was less than 15 hands that went up when I asked, who knows about Russell City? So where is it? Because we get on the San Mateo Bridge and we know that it ain't there. So what happened to Russell City? So Russell City, the city of Hayward and Alameda County, they claimed eminent domain over that land. And they were like, we could do something better with this land. So they evicted all of those families of color. And those families of color who refused to leave, they were like, we're not leaving. And so what happened, there was a suspicious, controlled fire that set it ablaze, that forced all of them out. And it was not until November 16, 2021, that the city of Hayward finally apologized. Almost 60 years later, finally, we're sorry. And no reparations, no nothing, just an apology. And so I know that the descendants of Russell City and the remaining survivors, they continue to fight, right, for the Restorative Justice Project to make sure that they get what they are owed, as they should. And so Russell City, right here, you can see amazing pictures of Russell City. Those of you who are from the East Bay, have been in Hayward, probably have seen this mural and like, what is Russell City? Right, and you probably have wondered that. And so I want to invite y'all to this event on May 6th at the Hayward Veterans Memorial Building, where they're going to be screening a documentary called The Apology. Y'all, Russell City is ethnic studies, most definitely. Right, and so I want to bring Russell City into the space. Literally half a mile from here is where it's at. And so we got to bring Russell City into the space. And so I want y'all to help me out. When I say its name, we're going to fill this space with the energy of Russell City. Can we do that now? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, you got a good movie going today. Good stuff, y'all. And as we are bringing in, as I'm bringing in some folks into this space, I definitely want to bring in some ancestors into this space today. Stephen Taylor. Can I ask how many of y'all have heard of Stephen Taylor? Hey, I like it. Hey, Grandma Addie, you see that? They know Stephen Taylor. So Grandma Addie Kitchen, who I'm going to bring up later, she's Stephen Taylor's grandmother, is here in the space with us today. Stephen Taylor, at the start of the pandemic, April 18th, 2020, It's almost 3 years ago. Next Tuesday is going to be the anniversary, actually called Stephen Taylor Day in San Leandro. We had to fight for that, right? Stephen Taylor Day in San Leandro is next Tuesday. Stephen Taylor on April 18, 2020, while in the midst of a mental health crisis, he was at the Walmart right in San Leandro off Hesperian. He was at the Walmart, and in the midst of the mental health crisis, folks at Walmart were like, okay, something's going on, called the police. San Leandro Police Department, right, called them, and Officer Fletcher, Jason Fletcher, he arrives on the scene. Within 60 seconds, he decided, 40 seconds, right, 40 seconds, he decided that Stephen Taylor, that he was going to shoot him. And not only shoot him, tase him, right, and then put the knee on the back to cuff him, right, and allowed him to bleed out. And this was in the afternoon, middle of the afternoon, in that Walmart with all these people in there, right? And he decided that day, right, within 40 seconds, that he was going to take his life. And Stephen Taylor, he was a grandson, he was a son, he was a father, he was an artist, he was a San Leandro High School alum, and he should still be here with us today. And for the past 3 years, SJA, the Social Justice Academy, we've been standing in solidarity with Justice for Stephen Taylor and our fearless leader over here, Grandma Addie Kitchen, right here. So, y'all, so strong, like unbelievable. She like amazes me. And of course, she came out today. Stephen Taylor, most definitely, we want to bring him into the space today. So when I say his name, can we bring Stephen into this space and we say Stephen Taylor? Thank you. Okay, the next person that I'd like to bring into the space today is another one of our, what I consider our SJA ancestors. It's Mariah Davis. She was my student in the Social Justice Academy, graduated with the SJA class of 2017. And in 2018, this beautiful young woman, the end of 2018, she went missing. And students in SJA, family, trying to find her. Right? And what we know is that for women of color, especially Black women, the police aren't going to try to go find them. Right? That's just real. And so, trying our best to find her. And unfortunately, she was murdered in a situation of domestic violence. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, it's probably one of the hardest moments in my career. It's one of those moments where you're like, I can't do this. And I almost quit. And it was actually the students in SJ class of 2019, 2020, 2021. I see you over there. Hey, I see you too. Automatic like smile over here. They lifted me up, and they made sure to lift up Mariah Davis's name. They're like, Mariah, and to her family as well, we're not going to let her be forgotten. Never going to let her be forgotten. And they actually led a campaign. Ran a campaign called #NoMore, where they're like, we're going to make sure that everybody knows Mariah Davis's name, not just Mariah, but also Mona Umanzor, who was murdered in a similar situation in 2012. And they fought to make sure that this resolution passed in our district, right? This resolution that would ensure that all San Leandro schools would learn not only about the two of them, but also would learn about healthy relationships, domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, consent, all of that. Right? They made sure, because they were like, no more, Mariah, no more. Right? And Mariah Davis, she was a daughter. Right? She was just amazing woman, activist. Right? And at the same time, she helped to lead the SJ's 2017 campaign that made San Leandro a sanctuary city. She's an activist. And unfortunately, her life was cut short. Can we bring Mariah into the space today, y'all? So when I say her name, y'all already know. Hey, 3 times. Say her name! Thank you. The last SJ ancestor that I'd like to bring into the space today. I can't do no keynote without this guy up here, Hassani Bell. Hassani Bell. He graduated from SJA's class of 2015. And when I first met Hassani in 2012, when he came into my classroom, he told me straight up, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. He's like, I don't know, what is this social justice? What is this stuff? And he was like, I'm not supposed to be here. I was like, yes, you are. I was like, have a seat, welcome. Nice to meet you. And he was like, and he sat down, right? And then we started to build a relationship. He started to learn. And Hassani, he became truly the embodiment of social justice and ethnic studies. And I want to say this before I continue. I know that we're called the Social Justice Academy, but please know that, don't get it twisted, we are deeply rooted in ethnic studies, right? Deeply rooted in ethnic studies. And so Hassani Bell, he is the embodiment of social justice and ethnic studies. I actually want to share a poem that he wrote for my class his junior year. His junior year, he wrote this poem, and he said, it was called I Am Social Justice. I am social justice because it saved my life. I was a kid ignorantly swimming into the school to prison pipeline. I had a 1.9, but some people saw the potential I had when no one else did. I am social justice because it saved me from a cycle. I'll be the first to walk the stage in my household. I am social justice because I grew tired of running a rat race blind. It gave me a cheat sheet to a happy life, and it taught me that life is a race. It isn't a race, it's a marathon. As long as you finish, you win. And for that, I owe social justice my life. I am social justice because social justice taught me how to organize and mobilize. It taught me how to save someone's life, how to invoke my personal rights. I am social justice because it taught me there's more than one way to be a superhero. I am social justice because it made me appreciate the struggle. It gave me a voice when I struggled to find mine. It made me mentally strong. And even though I don't do it, social justice taught me that it's okay for men to cry. I am social justice because it enlightened a mind lost in the darkness. So I owe social justice my life. It saved me from myself. And I'm going to dedicate my life to social justice. I just want to say thank you, SJA. I am eternally grateful. Hassani wrote that when he was a junior. He graduated from SJA, from San Leandro High School, and he went to San Francisco State University, where he went to pursue a degree in ethnic studies. And his very first year at SF State, when the ethnic studies department was under attack, was about to lose its funding, right? Hassani, along with 4 other students, went on a hunger strike to make sure that that didn't happen. Even though his life was cut short, he definitely left a legacy, beautiful legacy behind him. And I always look at him as the example. Folks know that. In my classroom, you see pictures of him all over the place. I'm like, y'all, Hassani, right? Like, true embodiment of social justice and ethnic studies. And so I most definitely want to bring Hassani into the space, y'all. Can we do that one more time for me? Bring Hassani into this space, y'all. Say his name. Yeah. Thank you. I'm thinking today that they're gonna visit me some way. Y'all, the ancestors, they got a way. They got a way of communicating with us. I've had so many moments where I'm like, Hassani, quit messing with me. Like there's times where I doubt myself and I'm like, Hassani, what you doing right now? Right, y'all. Ancestry acknowledgements are such a big part of ethnic studies, right? That is ethnic studies. We got to remember our ancestors. And I hope that today, as you walk through today's summit, that you have some ancestors that you carry with you. This amazing summit. I know it's about to be an incredible summit. And I want to take the opportunity to just thank the folks who allowed me to come up here today, believed in me, that I could do a keynote. Kay Fisher, Alan David, Jaslyn Siklali, the College of Ethnic Studies here at Chabot College's Ethnic Studies. I thank y'all for believing that I could be up here. Because honestly, I was like, keynote? I can't do no keynote. I've seen many keynotes. I've gone to many conferences, and I'm like, they're like, I have a PhD, I have a master's degree, and I'm like, I have a teaching credential. I was having imposter syndrome. I think I kept telling the students too. They know, they're like laughing right now. I kept going, y'all don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. I've had moments with my partner right here, Ivan Santos, my kids, Amato and Crispy, at home, just random. We'll be eating. They're talking about like baseball, something, right? And I'm like, I don't think I could do it. They're like, what? I'm like, the Ethnic Studies Summit. Like, this has been a source of stress for months now. Look at the students. Yes. Like, y'all don't bust me out. Like, it has been a source of stress because I'm like, I felt like I didn't deserve to be up here. And then folks, thank you. Folks had to remind me, my family in SJA, they had to remind me. My partner, my husband, love of my life, had to remind me. My kids right here had to remind me that they're like, are you kidding me? They're like hyping me up. And I was like, oh, like I was about to jump into something. Can I do it? Right? And they're hyping me up like, you got this. You've been in the classroom for 18 years. I was like, I have been in the classroom. That's a long time. Yo, honestly, Ivan should be throwing me a debut with the whole consortium. I've been in the classroom for 18 years. If y'all don't know, for those of you who are not Filipinx, a debut is like a Filipinx 15, but it happens 18 years old. Y'all, that's like one of the many byproducts of Spanish colonization and imperialism. We'll get to that. Okay. But y'all, you should be throwing me a debut after this. All y'all invited. You're gonna go to my debut with roses and all that and dance and everything. Yeah. Don't do me like that. It's a Chuck E. Cheese. Not even pump it up. Like, at least pump it up. Like, Bouncy houses, I'll take you. Simone, me and you, one day, pump it up. But honestly, I was having imposter syndrome, and now I'm up here and I'm like, I'm feeling it a little bit. Like, the two of you smiling at me, like, it's making me feel better. Y'all are amazing. Can I just say that? I was like, how am I gonna go after them? Right? That's exactly what it was. That's what folks were telling me. And honestly, because of white supremacy, cis heteropatriarchy, I was doubting myself. That's what it's meant to do to us. To communities of color, we're meant to doubt ourselves, to hate ourselves, believe that we can't do things like that. And I was like, why am I doing that? Fuck that. Sorry. That's the only one I'm gonna throw out this whole time. Y'all, only one I'll throw out this whole day. Okay, I seriously remember. Y'all, we deserve, as communities of color, especially women of color, we deserve to take up space. We deserve to take up space. I'm gonna take up space today. My little self is gonna take up space, and we have to tell our stories. Because something I always tell my students is that if you don't tell your story, somebody else will, and they're gonna tell it wrong. Right? And we gotta tell our stories. Right? And I know that y'all are probably just like me, and your story starts with your parents. These are my parents up here. You know, that looks super 70s. Like, for sure, looks super 70s. And I know that my story, my family's story, it starts with these two folks up here. And honestly, capitalism, imperialism, colonization, it did to my family exactly what it was designed to do. Right? Like, we know that. And it probably did the same to all of your families as well. It made my family feel like they had to leave the Philippines to look for a better life. Right? That they had to immigrate, they had to leave their homeland to look for a better life and come here to the United States. And for Filipinx folks, I think the statistic now is that 8,000 leave every single day to go all over the world in search of work. Right? They don't stay in the Philippines. And that's typical of so many communities of color, so many countries that make up the global majority, that we're forced to leave our homes. Right? And so same thing happened to my mom and dad. Right? Because Spain and the US was exploiting, desecrating, destabilizing the Philippines, they ended up here. Right? And I know that so many of y'all are like doing this because you know. And that's what it has done to our family. And they ended up here in the Bay Area. I know y'all are feeling the frills on my dress, y'all. Red and white dress. And my brother's ball cut. I think my brother, he might be on the YouTube link with your ball cut. To see it today, Kuya. And my family ended up here in the Bay Area. Right? And me and my family, just like probably many of yours, are no strangers to struggle. And we know struggle all too well. Right? And I know that our story, I look at it and I'm like, man, we struggled a lot. Right? But then I look at where we are now. Yeah, oh, I like it. Me and my family have come a long way. And it's not that we have the biggest houses and we have hella money. We have our own version of success and happiness, as we all should. Right? And I'm just glad that we're all still together. We're all still here, right? Smiling with our kids. And I look at my family, and I look at us as being a testament to the fight, the strength, and the resilience of not only Filipinx people, but communities of color. Right? That in the face of struggle, we're gonna fight through that, no matter what, because our existence is truly resistance. Right? Just being here, still being able to laugh, still being able to be with our families, that's resistance, y'all. And I look at my family, I know that just like so many of y'all, we are a testament to that strength and resilience. Right? And I know that my children, these two right here, Amato and Crispy, my hope has always been, my goal has always been that they're never gonna know struggle the way that me and my siblings have had to know struggle. Right? I think that's the point. Right? That's like the parents' goal always. You're not going to struggle the same ways that we did. They still are going to face some struggles, but not in the same ways that we have been forced to. And many of our struggles, honestly, stem from my dad. And from the decisions that he made. When he immigrated in the 60s, after the passage of the 1965 Immigration Act that finally opened up immigration to Asian countries again, my dad, along with his 8 siblings, originally there was 10, but 2 of them unfortunately passed away before they were able to immigrate, along with my lolo and my lola, my grandparents, they immigrated to the United States, of course in search of a better life, and they found their way to San Francisco. Right in the South Market District, SOMA, they found their way there. And I think y'all already know, as an immigrant family, they faced intense racism and xenophobia. And what ended up happening to my grandparents is that many Filipinx folks, including my own family, they have what we call bahala na attitude, which means whatever happens, happens. So they were some gamblers. And so one day they decided to drive up to Reno. Now we're going to go to Reno. And they had, the car at the time was a Ford Pinto. And I think I could see some of the older folks in the space, they're like, oh, I know what a Ford Pinto is. And it had many recalls to the Ford Pinto. One of them was that the steering wheel would lock. And so as they were driving up to Reno, the steering wheel locked. And they both died in the car accident, leaving my dad and his 8 siblings behind. And because they were all young, most of them teenagers at the time, the Ford Motor Corporation didn't give a shit, right? Didn't give them nothing. And they were left to fend for themselves. And some of my dad's siblings, they ended up in the military, right? Because this is like during the Vietnam War. And they were all trying to just figure out, what are we going to do? And my dad, he ended up turning to substance abuse into the streets, right? He was a Frisco boy. And my dad was all about that life. Like, that's my dad in a nutshell. He don't give about anything. That's my dad in a nutshell. You ask him to take a picture, that's what he does. So if you ask me, why didn't you pick another picture? Most of them, this is what they look like, okay? And my dad, his addiction, his misery, his misfortune, it affected all of us. And he's almost 70 years old. And he can be in a hospital bed and he'll still rep Frisco Boys until the end. He's like, I'm a Frisco boy. And he will open up the hospital gown to show it. And he's like, I'm a Frisco boy for life. I'm like, relax. You are 70 years old. Like, you stop it right now, sir. But my dad, unfortunately, he was in and out of the criminal justice system, in and out of our lives. And that definitely affected all of us. Most definitely affected my mom. My mom immigrated here, married my dad when she was 16 years old. And she believed, I'm gonna have a better life if I go over there. And she was like, I gotta get married to just anybody and get over there. Right, 16 years old, found her way here. And my mom, she had no idea, right? The life that she just thought, oh, everything's, I'm gonna make money so easy. Right? She was the only one of 9 siblings that came to the United States. And that honestly is super unique. Because most folks, they all come they come together, or they come in a chain, right? They'll petition one another. My mom was the only one of her 9 siblings who came here. So not only did my mom have to support me and my siblings, but she also had to support the family back home. Right, and send remittances and bulk buying boxes home on the regular. And my dad, he put her in the worst of circumstances where she had to raise 4 children on her own. Right, but honestly, I look at my mom and she is truly our matriarch. Look at her, she's like posing. You know, so proud of my mom. But I gotta be honest, I didn't realize at all the community cultural wealth that my mom was giving me on a regular basis. I didn't realize it at the time. And I think we get so fixated on the people who leave, we don't honor the folks who stay. And I didn't honor my mom enough when I was younger, but I'm trying to make it up to her now. That she stayed. She worked her ass off to make sure that we were okay, to get food on the table. And now, she is a Lola to 11, and they love their Lola. They love my mom, the matriarch. And I know that my mom, something that I appreciate, one of the pieces of wisdom, community cultural wealth that she passed on to me is to struggle with love, to hustle with love, to labor with love. That's something that I learned from my mom. Right, because I saw my mom working graveyard shifts. She'd be gone for most of the day, all night working. But she also took on side hustles for days. Y'all are living room, all it had was counterfeit clothes. Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein, Nike, she had it all. She was like, tell your friends. I was like, Mom, what do you mean tell my friends? She's like, tell your friends. And then she would have us stay up and sew on the tags to make it look, she's like, you have to make it look original. I'm like, Mom, they're gonna know. She's like, they're not gonna know. This is high quality stuff. I'm like, Mom, it is not high quality. The paint's coming off. And she'd be like, just sew it. And I'm sewing. That's why I know how to sew now. I used to sew those tags onto the clothes that she would sell. Right? She also would sell frozen bangos, frozen fish out the car. She was like, to anybody, she'd park in front of the Philippines grocery store. She's like, I got it cheaper. I'm like, oh. And those are the moments where I don't even know why I was so embarrassed when I should have been proud of my mom. Should have been proud that she was like finding ways for us to survive. And I think of who I was back in the day, and if I could go back in time, I'd like slap the shit out of myself. Like, you better give your mom a hug. You better take the bungalows and be like, "Boom, what's over here?" And that's what we should be doing. And instead of hiding in the car, like, are those people from school? Like, hiding, because I was ashamed of it. My mom, she found a side hustle in any and everything. Me and my siblings, we used to sing back in the day, and she made sure that we made money singing at Filipinx restaurants. Wow. She was like, you better get up there. I'm like, Mom. Hey, Mom. It looks like a Santo Nino and it has like the sequence red stuff on it, yo. My mom was like, get up there. We were in Filipino restaurants all throughout the day singing. I was like, Solita. Like, I was up there. My mom made me do it. She was like, we got to make some money. And as my mom was hustling, my dad would come back. Sometimes we wouldn't see him for months. Sometimes we wouldn't see him for years. But times when he really had nowhere else to go, he would come back. And he would set up shop in our garage. And our garage would become a little drug den. Right? And he would have so many of his friends in there. This is your uncle. This is your uncle. This is your uncle. And it was terrifying to just go into the garage to get clothes out of the dryer. One of the most terrifying things, because I would just see so many random folks all over the garage. And I know the smell of meth all too well because of that garage. And those are the moments that my dad would come back. And unfortunately, because my mom was gone all night working, trying to make money for the family, me and my younger sister, we experienced sexual abuse. And now, I can be up here now and I can say that I'm a survivor. And it feels good to say that I'm a survivor. But honestly, at that time, that almost took the best of me. Like I was lost, I was angry. I didn't have the coping skills, the social emotional skills to even make sense of what was happening. So needless to say, I was angry, I was lost. Right? I didn't know what to do. And I was going to school. Yeah. You could tell I'm angry if I'm going to Perfect Studios in the 90s just to mean mug the camera. Like, who goes to Perfect Studios? And those of you, where all my 90s folks at? You know, who goes to pay money at Perfect Studios just to be like, you gotta have a little bit of anger in you to do that, right? Like, y'all, it's the side eye, I'm like, See how my theme's always my hype, folks. Like, they always want to tell me, hey, thank you. Okay. Yo, I was so angry at that time. And I found my way. And I was at James Logan High School at that time. Oh, look at all the folks from Logan. Ivan students are like, yeah. Yes, I was at James Logan High School at the time. And I was feeling super dead inside. I was super angry. I was trying to fight everybody. And I was small too. I didn't know what, and I'm not gonna lie, I got into some fights. I didn't win that often, y'all. It's because I ran my mouth so much. I'm big enough now to say that. Back in the day, I was like, no. They had people jump in. No one jumped in. Because I won sometimes, just so you're proud of me. I won sometimes. But I got into a lot of fights. I was super angry. And I was lucky because I ended up in Mr. Oscar Peñalanda's classroom. Oscar Peñalanda, Mr. P. We lovingly call him Mr. P. Mr. P's a legend, if y'all don't know. One of the giants of ethnic studies, Mr. P. Mr. P was one of the original Third World Liberation Front strikers at SF State, at San Francisco State University in '68. One of the reasons why ethnic studies even exists, right? Mr. Peñalanda, I ended up in his classroom. And Mr. Peñalanda, along with all of these other founding members at James Logan High School, Dorothy Allen, Tina Bobadilla, Roxana Muhammad, they fought to make sure that students in the 90s had access to ethnic studies at James Logan High School. And because of them, they had the first department, ethnic studies department, in a high school level. This year, they're actually celebrating their 20th anniversary. That's amazing. Like, we all now are like, oh, it's a graduation requirement. They had that graduation requirement since 2003. They had it as a graduation requirement. I ended up in Mr. P's classroom, and Mr. P, he looked at me, and I was always talking mess, right? Looked at me one day, and he goes, no joke, y'all. Exactly what he said to me. You chicken shit. I was like, whoa. But I knew, yes, in class, but I knew that he said it out of love, for strangely enough. I was like, whoa, Mr. P, what do you mean? He was like, you don't even realize how strong you truly are. You don't realize how strong our people are, how strong our ancestors are. You need to learn. And I was like, what is this man talking about? Right, and Mr. P, he called me out, one of the first two. He was one of my first Filipinx teachers. And he called me out like no one else ever had. And he introduced me to ethnic studies. Honestly, I look at Mr. P and I owe him my life at James Logan High School. Taking me under his wing, he became I look at him and I'm like, he's my mentor, right? And he challenged me in ways that I had never been challenged before. Helped me to understand my dad, my mom, my family, right? Like Mr. P, he gave me that. Ethnic studies with Mr. P has saved my life. Like honestly, I would not be here doing no keynote without Mr. P, right? It disrupted the generational trauma, the miseducation, the conditioning that I was allowing to define me at the time, right? And what I learned is that my struggles, they were products of injustice and oppression. And I hadn't known that before. I was like, what? No, it's my dad. No, the root causes are actually this. And I was like, what? And he taught me that. Right? And he also taught me that your struggles, they can either be a life lesson or they can be a life sentence. And he was like, you get to decide that. And that stuck with me. That most definitely stuck with me. It gifted me with that decolonization, with that agency, with that healing. And I felt so fortunate to have had access in high school, right? Ethnic studies, it's the medicine, it's the comfort food, it's the warm blanket, it's the tight embrace. Right? Olaf would be super proud of ethnic studies. Right? Ethnic studies was the jolt to the system that I need. I know that was a mom joke. You like that? Hey. It was the jolt to my system that I needed. Ethnic studies, it brought me back to life. Mr. P and ethnic studies at Logan, it was that CPR that I needed to resuscitate me. Right? It was that critical, protective, radical love, hope, knowledge, community, solidarity that I had no idea that I needed. It was James Logan High School Ethnic Studies. And because of Mr. P, I was like, you know what? My life is not over right now. I'm gonna go to community college, which I did. I'm such a supporter of and believer in community college, y'all, because it allowed me to get that reset that I needed. Right? That it didn't matter that I didn't do so well in high school. It gave me another chance. Right? I went to Ohlone College. I took some classes here too at Chabot. It's because I had different jobs. I was in a video store that was closer to Ohlone. Yeah, video store. Students are like, what is a video store? Yeah. But I went to Ohlone College and it gave me another chance. And I worked so hard, right? Met ethnic studies professors like Ramon Quesada. And I was like, wow, hey, I'm gonna continue this. And I found myself at UC Berkeley. And I met amazing ethnic studies folks like Professor Catherine Sinisa Choi. Continued to deepen my love for ethnic studies and my education. And I knew that when I graduated, I was like, I want to become an ethnic studies teacher. I want to be like Mr. P. I want to do what Mr. P did for me. I want to give folks the medicine same way that Mr. P did. I want to be exactly like him. And I found myself, I did exactly what my ethnic studies professors taught me to do. You go back home. Okay, you go back home to do the work. And so I went to James Logan High School, found myself at James Logan High School, and I was like, yes, Mr. P is still here. We would have lunch almost every single day, right, together. And he's like, okay, you're here now, amazing. And I was like, I'm with Mr. P now, right, with the ethnic studies department at Logan. This is my very first year teaching. Y'all, please excuse the very 2000s outfit, okay? I didn't pants weren't enough. I needed a skirt. Okay. It's my very first year teaching, and I was so excited to be surrounded by not only Mr. P, but my other mentors. I was like, this feels so good to be here and to do the work here. And one day after school, Mr. P was like, Erica, come with me. And I'm like, where are we going? He's like, there's this new teacher that I want you to meet. And I was like, Mr. P, relax. Like, who is this teacher that you want me to meet? And he was like, I think that the two of you should get together. And I was like, Mr. P, I have a boyfriend. He was like, I don't care about that. And I was like, Mr. P, what? See, Mr. P wanted to change my entire life. He was like, "Food studies isn't enough," right? Like, he's like, come with me to his classroom. And I was like, oh my God, Mr. P, what are we doing? And he's like, you will be good for the future of ethnic studies here. The two of you together will be an unstoppable force. And he was like, you'll be good for the Filipinx community. Let's go. And I was like, Mr. P, what are you? So I get into his class and I'm like, who is this guy? And I met him and he's acting all like, hi. I'm like, well, relax. And he was thinking I was trying to take his job. I was like, hey, you're not even all that. He was like looking at me all, like sizing each other up. He's like, I'm Ivan Santos. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Right? And the two, I was like lying to myself in that moment. But I was like, okay, I just found this revolutionary man. I think I need to be with this guy. And we ended up together. Yeah, I did say I have a boyfriend, but that's a story for another time, y'all. Yeah. And me and Ivan, we ended up together. Y'all, real picture from the yearbook. They used to do staff favorites in the yearbook, and we actually dethroned this couple that had been waiting for years, Mr. Santos, Hart, Miss Mariah. Yeah. That was in 2006, but that picture was taken, right? And me and Ivan, I was like, yes, I have the love of my life, my partner with me here at Logan, Mr. P, Miss Allen. I have all these folks. I love it. Like, I'm here at Logan. This is going to go on forever. Right? Me and Ivan got married. Yeah, got married. And 3 years into my time at Logan, when I was pregnant with our first son, Amato, and the budget cuts happened. The recession happened. Right? It was post 9/11 world. The war on terror was raging. And we just saw the economy falling in. And at that time, in school districts, if you were the last one hired, you were the first one fired. And so I lost my job at Logan in June, and I was 8 months pregnant. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, where am I going to go? And I had no idea what I was going to do. And Ivan's mom, my mother-in-law, she was a principal at a middle school in San Leandro. And she said, you know what, there's an opening at San Leandro High School. There's this new program that they're starting called the Social Justice Academy. She's like, you should apply there. And if y'all are from the Bay, we all have heard stories about San Leandro. And like, folks have called it Clan Leandro. And honestly, like, I remember like folks being like, it's a bastion of white supremacy. The sundown town, former sundown town, that communities of color for so long were not able to live there. But they could work there, but when the sun went down, they had like leave, right? Or they would face intense violence. I was like, San Leandro? Like, I don't want to go to no San Leandro. And I found myself at San Leandro High School, and I was scared, right? I went to my job interview. I was 8 months pregnant, had a motto in late July. The other one's late June. Anyway, crispy. Late July, I had a motto, and because of where the economy was at, I knew that I had to go to work 3 weeks later. So 3 weeks after giving birth to Amato, it was my first day at San Leandro High School. Barely healed, didn't really get to spend time with my son. Right? That's capitalism for you, right? Profit over people. They don't give a shit about like women of color, people of color, folks spending time with their families, poor working class people being able to be with their families after they give birth. Right? And so I was at San Leandro 3 weeks after giving birth. That's oppression, y'all. That's the absence of choice. That's what oppression is. And I was out of my comfort zone by myself, no support system, no ethnic studies. I was one of the only teachers of color. I went into like a department meeting, my first history department meeting. All like white folks, mainly white men, looking at me like, are you supposed to be in here? I had folks for so long asking me, how are your math classes going? You got to start teaching your math classes? So y'all guess why they thought that I would teach math. And I was like, no, I'm here to teach in the Social Justice Academy. I'm here to teach US HX3 and world, right? That's what I'm here for. And they're all looking at me crazy like, really? wow, I didn't expect that. And I'm just like, okay. And I had to get used to that, right? Because I wasn't at Logan anymore. I wasn't in the comfort of the ethnic studies department. So in San Leandro, I learned very fast what I was up against, that I would always be invisible, that I could have my hand up for hella long in a staff meeting, and they would not call on me until one of the white men said, hey, you should call on her. Right, and I learned that white women could do no wrong, and their tears were a weapon that I could never counter. I also learned that the union was never meant to protect all teachers, just the white ones. At the same time, the students of color that made up a majority of the population, they mattered even less than I did. And I was like, okay, this is where I'm at now. And despite the rampant racism and sexism, the toxic work environment, I had to stay true to who I was. And I had to trust the struggle. What always made me feel better is that I had the best comrades in the game. I had the youth and their families. And we had to lean on one another, right? And they had that fire, they had that energy, right? I was like, okay, they gave me a reason to stay in San Leandro when I had so many reasons to leave. They're the reason that I stayed. And there's so many people who ask me, why you stay at San Leandro for so long? How could you stay here? I've seen so many teachers, administrators come and go, almost a revolving door. My past 15 years in San Leandro, and how do you stay here? And I always, same answer every single time, because of the young folks and their families. That's why I stay here. I would never leave, right? But I had so many reasons to. Even when in the 2008, 2009, Oscar Grant, end of 2008, Oscar Grant was murdered at Fruitvale BART station, and our students were like, we have to do something, Variety. And I was like, we absolutely have to do something. And we brought in Cephas Johnson, Uncle Bobby, right, Oscar Grant's uncle, to come in multiple times to speak. And at a staff meeting, a bunch of teachers stood up there like, how could you defend that thug? He deserved to die. I would hear things like that all the time. Definitely reasons to leave, right? Even when I was breastfeeding, I had 2 different classrooms, and I was like, I need a place to pump. I would pump in my car. I'd be like, I need a place to pump. Can y'all give me a place to pump? I'm gonna lose my milk if I don't pump during the day. And I was doing it in my car for a while, and that was really uncomfortable. And I was like, I need a place to pump. They give me a little broom closet, right? Storage room, dusty, dirty storage room. I was like, I'm not gonna pump in there with a window where students and a teacher could see me. And so I lost my milk. I couldn't even give that to my son. Another reason to leave, but I stayed, right? I stayed because there's always a reason to stay. And I even remember when we tried to make this beautiful Palestinian flag that we put outside of my classroom. And then folks were like, take down that terrorist flag. We're like, end the occupation in Palestine. They're like, take that down. Like, why would you put that up? And I was like, we have Palestinian students who are here. They're just fighting to exist. They're just fighting for sovereignty. Like, Gaza and the West Bank, they're nearly gone. They're like, why can't this flag be up? Take that down. And another reason to leave, but again, I stayed. And I can name so many times that I had a reason to leave. Right? Even when I was pregnant with my second son, Crispy, walking through the hallway, talking to the doctor on the phone, I was 5 months pregnant. And this white male teacher grabs me by my arm. I almost fall back. And he's like, young lady, put away your phone. And I'm like, I'm a teacher. Like, number one, I'm a teacher. He's like, oh, I didn't know. I was like, it doesn't matter. What makes you think that you could put your hands on people? I was like, is this what you do to all of the students here? And he's like, I didn't know that I was like, that doesn't matter. Even if I was a student, I was like, don't put your fucking hands on anybody. Again, another reason to leave. But I stayed. Y'all, like, I can think of so many stories that I have, so much trauma because of Clan Leandro High School. So much trauma. But the students, they always gave me a reason to stay. Right? And honestly, it wasn't, I don't even think it was me, right? Like, as a teacher of color, as a woman of color, Asian woman at that they expected to be quiet, they expected to be subservient, right? I got under their skin, but honestly, what I think really got under their skin is that there were students of color who are no longer scared, right? And they're like, I had their back, they had my back, right? I think it was really the students, their anger, their righteous anger, right? They're agitated, they were organized, they were demanding better, they were holding them accountable in their classrooms. I think that's what really solidified their disdain of SJA. They're like, oh, these students are challenging me. I was like, oh my goodness, they're challenging you for you. And that made them so angry that these students of color, these marginalized students, they were speaking out. And it wasn't that I all of a sudden gave them a voice. They always had a voice. They always had it in them, right? It just got covered, right? And it was never my job to save them or to give them a voice. It was just about uncovering it, right? Just like Mr. P did for me. It's always been there, always been there. And we always talk about we're going to empower students. They just need to realize that they've always had power. And that's really what made folks angry about SJA. Right? And I look at our history of the Social Justice Academy from the 2000s, right, all throughout like the 2010s, and how far we've come, right, in the Social Justice Academy. I look at these old pictures, I look at some of our even recent pictures, and I think of all the times that I was able to bear witness to just their greatness, right? The young folks in their greatness and what they could do with an ethnic studies education, right? And so this picture up top, we were at the height of the budget cuts to education. I think there was 52 staff positions, teachers, librarians, counselors that were going to be cut in our school district. And 3 of our students in SJA, they went on a hunger strike. And we went to Sacramento, all of the students behind them, all of us behind them. And they saved all those jobs, made sure that they dipped into the reserves so that we wouldn't feel the budget cuts. I think back to all these moments where the students were they amazed me, truly amazed me. Right? I just can't believe that I got to be a witness to all of this. Right? In this picture up here, we made San Leandro, that was a sundown town, after Donald Trump's election, right? And everyone was like scared, like, what's he gonna do to undocumented families, to the Muslim community? And the students were like, we're gonna turn this sundown town into a sanctuary city. And they galvanized the community, brought the community together. They were like, from sundown to safe town. That was the name of the campaign. Right? And we fought to make not only San Leandro a sanctuary city, but all of the schools sanctuary schools. And it was the youth that led that. The youth led that. And I look at all this and I'm like, San Leandro, you ain't never gonna win. You ain't never gonna win, even until now. Like, they ain't never gonna win. And because we're gonna stay together. We're gonna stick together and stay in solidarity. Right? And I know that we have to be relentless and we have to be fearless and we have to believe in the power of ethnic studies. But y'all, honestly, we still have a long way to go. Right? Continued attacks, not just on SJA, but ethnic studies programs all across the state, all across the country. Right? We see it right now. Right? The attacks on critical race theory, right? Sexuality and gender studies, right? We see it all over the place. And it's going to take all of us coming together. Right? We all got to come together. That's why it's beautiful right now that we're representing so many different sectors, so many different schools. We have to come together and defend. And we got to defend ethnic studies because we know that ethnic studies, it is truly liberation. It's truly liberation. And this past year in SJ, we've experienced a whole lot of attacks, right? The attacks even have gone international.
Tell us about this California school where maths, they're nearly as good as maths as I was by the sound of it.
Yes, there is a school in California, a public school. They pride themselves on having a social justice academy where they talk about everything from identity politics to critical theory. But the catch is they have a 19% proficiency in maths, which is well below the state average. And it just goes to show that when you go woke, if you're a kid, you go academically broke.
Absolutely.
Yo, she thought she was super clever. Once she go woke, you go academically broke. Yo, they blamed SJA. For San Leandro's 19% math proficiency rate, only 300 students at our school took that test, and less than 15 were students in SJA. Right, and they didn't want to talk about what are the real root causes for the low math scores, not just at San Leandro, but nationally. Right, but they blamed it on the scapegoat, easy scapegoat. Right, and honestly, y'all, I'm not even mad at videos like that. All of us are like, we're Jews. We're like, our hate has gone international, y'all. We must be doing something right if Australia's tripping off us. Australia, like, y'all, we weren't even mad at you for high-fiving. We're like, yo, y'all remember that day? We're all just laughing. We're like, they think that that's going to make us stop. Right? We're like, I want that as a badge of honor. I'm like, wow, y'all are that worried about a school in San Leandro. Other side of the world. It's like amazing to me. I'd like to bring up a student to help me out today. I want to bring up a student, Cecilia. Cecilia is going to give y'all a little rebuttal to all these attacks on ethnic studies. She didn't do that for us today better than I could ever, right? The youth are always, they could do it better than me. Cecilia, come on up here.
Thank you, everyone. Can we get a quick round of applause for our keynote? Come on, keynote. Yes. I truly love that woman with all my heart. She has saved my life in a way that I can really not explain. I love her so much. Okay. This is not schooling. We are far past basic story courses. We are modern day third world liberation, the 21st century retelling of the civil rights movement, now referring to we want to live. We want to learn, and we are forced to fight tooth and nail, blood, sweat, and tears to simply center our own stories. Because our education is more horrifying than any adolescent white males done in our schools. A classroom full of kids of color might as well be a jailhouse awaiting charges, pleading guilty by skin tone. See, everything we do is criminal. The books we read, the theory we speak, our assembly in itself is all too threatening. I await 2026 like peers await their summer break. Because every child deserves the right to feel seen, to know that they are history with an X, that their ancestors mattered. Ethnic studies should not be a matter of privilege, but a matter of right. Students deserve classrooms that acknowledge their personhood, teachers that see them holistically, the good, bad, and everything in between. Because students are human, not simply ID numbers floating through pipelines. 222 ethnic studies saved my life. And to ethnic studies, I owe my life. Social justice education is revolutionary. No other textbook could illustrate a world where I had capital, that we hold value outside dollar bills and college funds. No other room reminds me daily to thank and honor my ancestors for whom we are morally obligated to fight for, to remember, to say their names, Mariah Davis, Hassani Bell, Stephen Taylor. We are ethnic studies. This is more than curriculum. This is community building, cultivating critical consciousness, community cultural wealth. This is education. Models of Paulo Freire and the Third World Liberation Front, because ethnic studies is liberation. Y'all give it up for Cecilia. I told y'all she could do it better than you, y'all. I have to bring up Cecilia today, y'all. Hey, y'all, I know that I've been up here hella long, okay? I know. I'm gonna wrap it up, okay? I'm gonna wrap it up right now, okay? I know, right, Cecilia? I'm gonna fail you just so you can stay with me. Just kidding, y'all. I would never do that. I'm just kidding. Right. I know that what I got out of Cecilia's piece is that we have to stay rooted in ethnic studies, and that means to stay rooted in knowledge, community, and solidarity. That just happens to be our logo, right? Knowledge, community, and solidarity. Right? We have to make sure that we build that knowledge, right? Building a critical consciousness. It has to go beyond heroes, holidays, food, folks, and fun. That's what people think that ethnic studies is. We know that it has to go way beyond that. We have to learn, just like Cecilia said, the HX theories of communities of color and marginalized communities. Not only learning it, but we have to center the most marginalized and vulnerable communities. Right? We have to center them and their lives. And it has to be decolonial.
right? We have to free ourselves from mental enslavement. Right? Most definitely, that has to be a part of, we have to challenge these systems of oppression. Capitalism, white supremacy, cis-hetero patriarchy, transphobia, homophobia, xenophobia, Islamophobia, ableism, all of it. Right? That we have to disrupt, we have to challenge it, we have to dismantle it, right? And we have to go against that idea of top-down schooling, right? That we just learn from the top down. Now, school is a place, right? Education, and honestly, it can be found anywhere, right? And we have to make it no more top-down schooling and make it a bottom-up education. We have to learn from the bottom up, right? Learn from the most marginalized and the most vulnerable communities, right? And not only is it about that curricular content and building that knowledge, but it's also about building community, right? And one-off lessons on folks of color, right? That's not what it's about. We have to build community every single day, right? We have to cultivate a sense of connectedness. We have to center mental health and wellness, right? We have to normalize love. Like I tell my students I love them every single day, no joke. Like they're leaving this space, I'm like, wait. And then they're like, how do you tell, right? And I know that at first that's weird to them. They're like, why is she saying I love you? Right? And I tell them, I'm like, there's so many different iterations of love. Right? Do I love y'all the same way I love my husband and my kids? No, but I love y'all. Like I want the best for y'all. And I'm honoring the fact that you show up every single day and that you're here with me. I love you. And if no one has ever told you, I'm going to tell you, I love you. And as time goes on, I start to hear the, I love you too. I'm like, okay, I heard you. You love me too. We love each other. Like, look at all these students in FJ. Was it weird at first, y'all? No? Oh, I love you. Look at no. You love y'all. Some of y'all are like, yeah, it was weird. But now we all say it, right? That we have to normalize love. We have to hold spaces that nurture love, hope, joy, freedom, justice. And we have to embrace the mess. Right? Rows and columns in classrooms. It's okay for it to be loud, dysfunctional at times, right? Sometimes we're laughing way too much, and there's times where we get so off topic. I'm like, how did we get here? Right? Like, how did we get here, y'all? That happens a lot, and we just start laughing, but we need that. Because honestly, ethnic studies sometimes, it re-traumatizes us. It's to learn about what happened to our ancestors and what's happening now, right? It's trauma. And we have to take the time on many days to just stop and laugh, right? To stop and be like, is everybody okay? Let's check in real quick, right? It can't just be, look at all these systems of oppression and what happened. We have to stop and be like, are y'all okay? Right? Because it's not just about talking about these stories of oppression, but also the stories of resilience and resistance. Right? We have to bring that into the space as well. And our students, they have to feel humanized. They have to feel valued and seen. We have to humanize our students and teach them to reclaim their humanity in a world that objectifies them, monetizes them, right? We have to do that. And all the traditional indicators of achievement, right? GPA, grades, attendance, right? Discipline, all these like what folks usually use for data, right? All of that will follow if our students are well. All of that will follow. Right? If they feel like they're a human being and you see their humanity, you recognize their humanity. Right? We got to do that first before we even worry about why aren't they, they're charging to class every day. They're tripping off that, but they're not asking why. They keep cutting my class every day and they're in the hallway, but they don't ask why. Like, why do you think that they're out there? Because you suck. Because you're racist. Yeah, you're boring. And you're doing textbook every single day, chapter 1.1, 1.2 the next day, 1.3 the next day. And you wonder why they don't want to be there. Right? All of that will follow, right? If you show them that love, right? You show them that love. And that last piece, solidarity. We got to fight for our communities, y'all. We got to fight for our communities. Sorry. I didn't drink this whole time. Okay. Yeah, we have to fight for our communities and go beyond performative acts of solidarity and embody transformative solidarity. Right? Everybody's all about, I just put this Black Lives Matter poster in my room. I told everybody happy API Heritage Month, and they're like, okay, done. It's performative. We got to be transformative in our solidarity. We have to be willing to give up our privilege, right? And challenge ourselves, knowing to step up, knowing to step back, knowing it's not your conversation and you need to shut the hell up, right? And we have to do that, right? That's transformative solidarity, y'all. And we have to come together, right? Our communities have to come together because our liberation is bound. It's not just about fighting for your own community. We got to fight for everybody. We got to fight for everybody. Our liberation is bound together. And right now, I know that we're in a time in this country where we must act, right? We can't just be on social media calling ourselves activists, right? We truly have to act. Folks always talk about, I'm woke, I'm woke. Okay, you're awake. Now what you gonna do? You're awake now? Cool. Okay, now what? And I always tell the students that, okay, folks are awake. Okay, now let's do some work. Roll up your sleeves and let's do some work. And what I'd like to do right now, I know that I'm over time, but y'all, I got to give some space to Grandma Addie. Grandma Addie Kitchen, I'd like to bring you up. Come on up here. Our fearless leader in the campaign for justice for Stephen Taylor. You know that I had to bring you up. No, couldn't do this without you. Oh, yes, you did. No.
First, I'd like to thank this amazing, loving human being and her class since 2020. They have been with us, Justice for Stephen Taylor. They have never left our sides. They have planned all of our anniversaries. They have planned all of our marches. They have been such an amazing group of young people. We even had an argument with the city council because every time they talked about what they were going to do for the city of San Leandro, they always did it after 8 o'clock. And so the students, it would be like 10 o'clock before they got to the subject. So the students weren't allowed to participate because they had to go to bed and get to school. So with all the arguing and the fussing that we did, they stopped doing that. So now the students can participate in whatever happens in city council. With the help of the students and even the community, we've been able to get police oversight for the city of San Leandro. And it was a feat, but we got it done. I don't know how many of you know that there is a park in the marina that is going to be named after Stephen Taylor. Stephen Taylor Sanctity of Life Pavilion. And we are having our third anniversary there on the 18th of this month. So we would certainly appreciate seeing everyone that can come out to support us. We're also working with the Alameda Fire Department for a mental health crisis program. Chief McDonald has been so helpful and so supportive. We're working with the city of San Leandro for a navigational center. And this is for the unhoused. My grandson was unhoused at the time of his murder. And so we are working with the city for that. We're also working with April Showers. Every third Sunday at the Boys and Girls Club, they provide showers, clean clothes, hot meals, and our organization is providing gift cards for the unhoused. So we're not just sitting around feeling sorry for what happened to Stephen. I think that if Stephen knew what we were doing, his life was not lost in vain. And then we continue to fight. We are fortunate enough that the officer was charged under Assembly Bill 392, which is a bill that was passed in 2019 after Stephon Clark was murdered in his grandmother's backyard. So we have been going to court. We have a court date scheduled for the 12th of May. We're hoping and praying that we'll get a court date. We have not got a trial date. We've been getting court dates, but not a trial date. And the students at SJA were having a protest, a march on the 11th from the high school to the police department. So if anybody would like to come out and support us, we would certainly appreciate it. And this is just to bring attention to the fact that we are going to court on the 12th. I am just so overwhelmed with the work that these young people do. And I have to tell their parents, they just don't know the folks that they have in their houses. We hear all the time about crazy things that some of the young folks are doing, but they don't know their children. They don't know how hard they work. They don't know how much they love what they're doing. And I love each and every one of you. I can't hug and kiss everybody, but I'd love to, but I do love you guys so much. And I just appreciate the work that you do. You just, I mean, calling me at home and saying, hey, what can we do? Let's have a conversation. That's what they do. And I appreciate it. And I love you guys so much. And I hope that you would just ride with this till the wheels wear off for justice. And I have to say that justice isn't just for Stephen, but it's for all of our young folks that are being murdered by law enforcement. There's just uncalled for. There's just so many other things that could be done besides shooting somebody. I don't believe in de-escalation. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. But again, it depends on the color of that human being that they're trying to de-escalate. We know that white males don't get shot like black males. We can think about the guy that killed in Roseville, that just shot somebody, shot at the police. They didn't fire one bullet, but they captured him. They cuffed him up and took him to where he was supposed to be. The same thing happened with the young white man that shot at the Capitol yesterday. Not one shot was fired. They handcuffed him. But if he'd have been black, I wonder if we'd have been able to identify him. So we have to really understand that it does have a lot to do with our colors. And our colors should not be a death sentence, but we know that it has been. All people of color, we have to be aware of who we are, where we are. And even if you do what the police tell you to do, it doesn't change anything. It does not change a thing. They are so quick to pull their guns before they try and do something different. So continue to support us. Erica, I can't tell you how much I love you, and I'm just so glad that you're part of my life, and I love you students so much. I thank you so much, and I'll see you on the 18th. Don't forget, Monday the 17th, I will be at City Hall. They are giving me a plaque or a proclamation for the pavilion at the marina. So come on out and see me. I'll see you guys there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I do hope to see folks out there with us on 17th, on the 18th, right? Next week, next Tuesday at the marina, on May 12th, and Alameda County Courthouse, right? Supporting justice for Stephen Taylor, because until justice is won, we definitely ain't done. Not done. It's been 3 years already that we've been fighting. Okay, last thing, promise. Yeah. I just want to close it out real quick. Ethnic studies is, I hope y'all have heard over and over that ethnic studies is truly everything. It's not just a class, it's not just an academy, it's not just a graduation requirement. It's not just a piece of legislation, a box to check off, right? It's a mindset. And we have to remember that, right? Ethnic studies is truly a mindset. And this country and the systems of oppression that are in place, they make us feel like we're disposable. Right? It demoralizes us to the point where we feel dead. And ethnic studies, it allows us to breathe new life into one another. It resuscitates us like it resuscitated me, but only if it is critical, protective, and radical, right? That's CPR. Critical, protective, radical love, knowledge, community, solidarity, resistance, right? A critical, protective, radical education that will allow us to breathe again. So that we have the energy, we have the strength, we have the resilience, and we have the audacity to fight back. So that dreaming and thriving and justice and freedom, they're not privileges, but they're rights, right? And our humanity is no longer up for debate, right? Our humanity should have never been a luxury that we couldn't afford, right? And I want to end what I'm saying right now. I wrote a quote by Arundhati Roy, because we have to fight for the world that we want. And Arundhati Roy, she once said, another world is not only possible, but she is on her way. And on a quiet day, I can hear her breathing. Right? We just got to keep fighting, y'all. We most definitely got to stay together and keep fighting. Right? Thank you, y'all. I made it through. One more thing. My bad. Oh, y'all called me out. You're absolutely right. Okay. Before I get off, real quick, y'all. It's something that we always do in SJA. Whenever we feel like we just did something, we accomplished something big together. And y'all, I could not be up here without my support system, my SJA family, my husband, my kids, right? My family that's here. Oh yeah, you know. Yeah. And what we do whenever we get to a place where we're like, man, we just did that. I just, no. And stressing about this, we always end with our SJA chant. And I'm going to ask y'all to do it with us. Okay, so what we do is I count off 1, 2, 3, and we go SJ, 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 and we always end with an explosion. Yeah. Wow. Can we do that? Yeah. Yeah. Let's get ready real quick. Then 1, 2, 3. SJ, 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 SJ. Okay, we just did it for y'all. Now y'all got to do it with us too. Do it too. Okay. Now we're gonna try that again. We are good, y'all. Let's all put our hands in. Come on, I gotta see those hands. We're in this together. We gotta be excited. Okay, let's do that one more time. Y'all, 1, 2, 3. SJ, SJ, SJ. Yeah, beautiful. See? Oh.
All right, all right. So for the sake of time, if we could get 2 questions for our amazing keynote speaker. Let's make some noise for our keynote speaker, yeah? We got 2 folks in the audience that could bless us with a question for our amazing keynote speaker. What's going on?
See? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be that connection right there.
Do we have any questions? Any other questions in the space? What's going on there? We got 1 and 2. And then
Yeah. Next time, we're gonna talk about this. Yeah. I'll tell you later. Your teacher, Mr. Santos, he'll tell you. Santos will tell you. I'll tell you later.
do we have another question? I see. Okay, for sure.
Stop it right now. Thank you.
All right, so let's make some more noise for our keynote speaker, Erica Santos. On behalf of Chabot College and the Department of Ethics Studies, we want to say thank you for your story, for bringing your community, and just building that bridge like within this space for us today, for the most part. So again, thank you again. Real quick thing. We're actually going to go into transition right now to get y'all ready to go to your workshops like for the next hour. So from 11 to 12, the workshops are going to be happening in 3 different buildings. This building, Building 500, and Building 400. So by raising hands, if I could get all the volunteers to raise your hands, all the volunteers, if I could ask y'all to migrate outside and form a circle. And so what y'all are doing in forming that circle is y'all are going to be helping our students that are in the space get to their particular building for their workshop. All right. So let me give y'all a rundown of the workshops and where they're going to be. All right. So the ethnic studies, that's the first one. That's actually happening in this space. If you're interested in learning Pacific, if you're interested in learning from ethnic studies students and ethnic studies professionals here in Chabot College, feel free to stay. So workshops. It's are happening in Building 500, right? Those 3 workshops are happening in Building 500, right? And last thing, that's happening in B. Right, so that's all Building 500. What's up?
Thank you.
For our folks who are tuning in on Zoom, and for our folks who are tuning in on Zoom or the live stream, you'll be tuning into the ethnic studies panel that's happening in this space right now. Thank y'all for joining us online, and we're sending you love as well.
Okay.
Oh, you're gonna also stop the live stream or?
No, can you
No,
keep it? Yeah. One more thing, folks, if you're here, can they hear me on this side? Okay, if you're here, hold on to your surveys, fill them out after the workshop and give it as a lunch ticket when we have lunch in about an hour, okay? So hold on to your surveys too, and please fill them out before lunch, after the workshop. Thank you. For folks on Zoom, there's one workshop for you that's being broadcasted. That's our featured one, which is the ethnic studies majors panel. And so the camera is now focused on like 2 rows of chairs. So just stay there and we'll get started in a couple of minutes.
Hi, Miss Jessica.
Hi, who's this?
It's Ian. I'm one of Carmen Johnston's students.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Good. I was actually in contact with my teacher, so I actually had to ask. I saw that question, I had to ask her, so.
Oh, okay. Sorry, what question was that?
If the panel is mandatory for SIN students.
Oh, yeah, I'm really not sure. It depends on your teacher, but
Yeah.
if I were to guess, I would say probably not.
Yeah,
I
she
think that
confirmed, she
okay.
confirmed, if you're a SIN student in her class, you don't have to stay for the panel. It's not
Okay. Okay. All right. That's great to know. Maybe that will be helpful for other students as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for coming.
Yes, no problem.
Okay. Bye-bye.
all about the mic. And then turn it, I think turn it off, right? It's not speaking.
Okay, welcome, folks. Can you hear me? Yeah, I know. I'm kind of loud, but well, just want to welcome you all. I'm not sure how we're gonna follow that keynote speaker, right? But I think we're gonna do our best here, and I think we're gonna do really, really well. Just want to welcome you all. My name is Dr. Juan Pablo Mercado. I teach history here at Chabot. Also focusing on Chicano and Chicana history. Really excited to be moderating this panel on the value, on the worth of ethnic studies as a major, right? As a discipline, as a focus, right? For your professional and academic life. It has been that for me for many, many years. My task here is to moderate this panel. I have some great questions here for our panel of students and instructors. I have their names, but I also have a question here that introduces them. So instead of me introducing them, I'm going to let them introduce themselves by answering a couple of questions. So for you panelists here today, what I'd like you to do is share your name, your pronouns, your major, if you're a student, or the subject that you teach, and your degrees if you're an instructor. And then last but certainly not least, what is your go-to karaoke song? Okay, so let's see. I have a little list here, but maybe we will start off with Christian.
Hello. Okay. Hello. Hi. Hi. My name is Christian Green. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And then my major is African American Studies. And my go-to karaoke song, I feel like would probably be anything by SZA. But I'd have to think about that for a second, because like I probably would say Love Galore, but I've tried to think of that question. It's like that's tough. So, but I would initially say something by SZA. Yeah.
Thank you, Christian. How about Olympia?
My name is Olympia Pereira. My pronouns are she, her. My major is ethnic studies and Africana studies. And my go-to karaoke song is No Scrubs by TLC.
All right. How about Citlali?
Okay, my name is Ciclali Morales. My pronouns are she, her. My major is ethnic studies, and my go-to karaoke song, it's in Spanish, but it's Mi Último Deseo by Banda Los Recoditos.
Ciao. All right. Kiara?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kiara Escobar. My pronouns that I go by are she, her, and ella. And the major that I have is actually in two. My first major is in Chicano studies, and then my second major is in English literature. My go-to karaoke song is in Spanish as well. It's called Todo Cambió by Camila.
Abigail.
Hi, everyone. My name is Abigail Bay. My pronouns are she, her. And my major is, I'm a triple major. I major in nursing, Asian American studies, and ethnic studies. And my go-to karaoke song is Dancing in the Moonlight, and I think it's by Top Floaters, but I also like just like any Christmas song at any time of the year. So yeah.
Thanks, Abigail. Jaslyn.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jaslyn Maga. My majors is, sorry, I forgot for a second, Asian American Studies and Sociology. And my go-to karaoke songs are I Will Survive and Bakita.
All right. Getting inspired here to do some karaoke tonight. Carlos.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carlos Garcia. My pronouns are he, him. My major is Chicano Chicana Studies, and my karaoke song is, this is probably going to sound really like, of course, but like Japanese Denim, Daniel Caesar, or something Rihanna. I don't know. Whatever gets me going, I guess. Maybe Diamonds, something like that.
Thank you. And then last but certainly not least, Professor Iescas.
Hello, everyone. My pronouns, my name is Ismael Iescas.
Pronouns are he, him, his. I don't know about my major, right? I got my doctorate in Latin American Latino Studies from UC Santa Cruz. I'm an instructor here in ethnic studies. I had the pleasure to teach and be taught by many of these students here on this panel. And my go-to karaoke song is Anything But Chicano Batman, although I can't really do that dude's voice. I really try. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Great. Good. Oh yeah. I'm so lucky to be here. Yeah, and thank you.
Agree, Professor Fisher. I agree. Okay, so this first question is kind of a big one, but I'm glad we're starting with this first one here. And maybe Professor Yescas, we can start off with you on this one. What impact has ethnic studies made on your life?
That's a good question. I think ethnic studies in general, right? And there's the different sort of strands from ethnic studies, right? It's Chicanx, Latinx studies, right? Asian American studies, Native American studies, right? African American studies, Black studies, right? All of them speak to the multiple sort of not only fields of knowledges, right, but where the communities fighting for liberation. So I think when I was introduced to ethnic studies was when I was not in high school, right? I was in community college in Santa Monica College, the second attempt at trying to be successful at a community college. When it was professors really that made me read some, people of color, scholars of color that really spoke to my realities, right? I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. I grew up in the hood pretty much. And these are texts that were talking about migrant experience, right? Talking about racial segregation, right? Talking about policing that I saw affected my community, right? So this field of knowledge, right? This ethnic studies in general was a way to me to connect, community knowledge also with academic knowledge. And I think that has had a great impact in my sort of trajectory. So when I went to UC Santa Barbara as an undergrad, right, I had great mentors, right, mentors of color who saw in me a potential to be a scholar, right, to help me develop my scholarly identity, help me to find some confidence in my voice, and to speak with authority, knowing that it's not just me speaking for myself, but me speaking with and alongside communities that have long been marginalized, not only in the academy, but in most of the institutions in this United States. Right? And that helped me develop that particular identity and to go into a doctorate degree. Right? I had no idea what the hell ethnic studies was or what kind. I think a lot of us are still learning, right? But it's a very, very, necessary field of study, especially in these times of danger. And that type of impact, right, that helped me develop that scholarly identity where now, I'm teaching or an instructor here at Chabot College, but never would have been possible without that type of engagement with scholarly or making that connection with community knowledge and academic knowledge. And that's something that's been really profound, at least in my trajectory. And it's a passion behind it that I think goes into my teaching. I don't know if some of my students can see that there's a sort of passion that I try to bring into the classroom because I know that it's important within the classroom. It's also important when we step out. So that to sort of keep it short.
Profe, let's see here. I'm kind of jump around here. Let me see. Abigail, same question, right? What impact has ethnic studies had on your life?
Similar to like Professor Yaskas, I didn't really know much about ethnic studies going into it. I kind of, when I went back to college, I decided that I needed to finish like my prerequisites, and I saw that Asian American Studies was a class that could fulfill the U.S. history requirement, and I was tired of learning about U.S. history. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to go ahead and pursue this. And I learned so much, and it really inspired me to then eventually take on Asian American Studies as my second major, and later on ethnic studies as my third. So I've been through like this whole process of like trying to figure it out and trying to understand and like gain like that critical mindset about everything that's happening so that it could then help me in my future.
Gail, Carlos.
I had a feeling you were going to call on me for some reason. um, I was introduced to ethnic studies in 2016, which was around the detrimental presidential election that we all witnessed, most of us witnessed. I went to a school called Oakland School for the Arts and studied vocal music there. And similarly, I founded a board for students of color. It was a collective of students of color that would oversee extracurricular activities like Latinos Unidos, those kind of clubs, Black Student Union, but also just the inequities within our education system. Shift over to 2 years later, I started Chabot, and actually the first professor that I can remember was Professor Mercado, who I took his history class, and I like instantly was ingrained into Chicano studies. And now I work in healthcare. I started my journey and my career is in end of life care. So I work in hospice. My background is in grief and death and dying. And the discrepancies and the inequity in our healthcare system, a healthcare system that was founded and was sought for white lives, there's a fear. And I had to do my own research about the exploitation of Black bodies in the early times of medication trials, the lack of abilities to garner healthcare services for Latina bodies in the United States of America. So having to, and so forth. And so having that background knowledge and studying ethnic studies, studying Chicano studies, learning about Black bodies in our healthcare system, East Asian and Asian, all people of color in our healthcare system, especially within death and dying, it definitely had a trifecta on my trajectory for life. And I see it now. I was just talking to my co-panelists right here about that. It's something that is under discussed. It's something that is undervalued, and because the way our healthcare system is set up, it is not something that is readily accessible to a lot of people of color. So that is where I kind of found the importance of ethnic studies and how important it is to my life and my sort of outreach to our communities. Hope I answered the question.
Yeah, thank you, Carlos. Let's see here. Jocelyn, how about you? What's the impact that ethnic studies has had on your life?
For me, through like the career part of my life, my mom wanted me to go into the medical field. And then at first, like I was going that way. And then I was in SJ and I was like, no, this is my passion. And I would tell my mom, I want to be a teacher. And she was like, are you sure? Do you know how much money they're making? I'm like, yeah, but this is what makes me happy. And then now, she's like cool with it. But overall, my life, it helped me heal. I started to understand the how and why of many circumstances and experiences that I've had in my life. And like from things that was going on with my family and feelings I had about my sexuality, literally to the way of how I look. Like I didn't want to look Filipino. I wanted to look not Filipino. And also with my parents, I was able to see I was able to learn that I can understand or I could be like upset with them and how I grew up and like the things that have happened when I was younger in a way that's like I can still love you and be upset with you and I can still understand you and it let me see them like as human beings aside from being my parents that like yeah, I got to see my family as people. You can anger me, you can like hurt me in ways that you don't understand, but that's the life that you knew, that's the things that you grew up with, and I understand that. And it's just like ethnic studies helped me find the way that I would want the people around me to. I don't know. Hold on. That if I choose to have kids, I would want to raise them in a way that's like that honors my parents, but also like heals me and heals us and heals the new generations that come. So healing overall.
Jocelyn, thank you. Appreciate that. Christian, Same question for you. Impact.
So I've been learning ethnic studies kind of since I was a kid. Honestly, like since my mom was showing me like Black Girls Rock, like as a child. I'm not gonna lie to you. And even like if my mom had gotten me like the Quincy doll from the Lionsines. Like I've been learning about ethnic studies since I was a toddler, right? And so I feel like the impact that it's had on me is just that I have a certain pride in myself and also a certain humility because even in the stuff that I've learned, I understand that like there is a privilege that I have, right? And it's not just the fact that like I understand that I am also Black, but then at the same time I'm a guy. So it's like there's certain things that I get and there's certain advantages that I may have that a lot of other people don't. And even still, like even being a Black person, I'm one of the more privileged kids that I can say as like coming either from where I'm coming from, my background, I grew up with two parents. I grew up kind of privileged in a lot of ways, and it's not something that I falter for. I feel like upset about. It's just that's just who I am. But at the same time, I feel happy about the fact that like I can come from this background and then help other people that have like either the same experiences as I do or that I relate to because I see myself in other people, right? I see myself in the experiences that they may go through, and then on top of that, like I have certain classes that I'll take that I know are impacting my life because like in the moment I know that I have a chance to actually like say something that I've been wanting to say for a while, right? Like even with my professor here who I was with like I took what was the class that we took actually? No, cuz like no, but this is the thing like yeah, exactly. Like race and gender and popular culture, right? I was able to give a presentation that was based in like psychology where I was speaking on like not just the Black experience, but also like Black mindsets, you know, like trying to discuss stereotypes, trying to discuss anything that kind of puts us back, you know. And I remember that it was the week that we were supposed to be talking about Black women, right? So my thing is being able to say that, it's like it for me, it's kind of honoring my parents, it's kind of honoring my mother, and it's honoring the friends that I have because in a lot of ways, personally, I gravitate towards the women in my family. I gravitate towards the women in my life, and that's kind of just how I ended up like adopting that mentality. Like I consider what's going on, and I don't mean to sound self-righteous when I say that. It's just like that's who I am. Like I can't think of ethnic studies in any other type of way where it's like if I'm not talking about women and I'm not including them in the conversation, if I'm not doing that and I'm not including like them queer folks and Black queer folks, I like for me, I feel some type of way. I don't, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel inclusive. It doesn't feel like I'm not holding myself accountable, right? So I feel the need to say that. That's kind of how ethnic studies has impacted me. Like feeling the need to say something for everybody and not just the people who apply to me or who I apply to the most, you know? So.
Thanks, Christian. Appreciate that. Kiara?
Ethnic studies, I think, it really hits the why for me. When I came into college, there was this introduction of the why very early on. And I think as I kept taking classes and ethnic studies started to kind of tap in like a core value for me. I think some of the values of ethnic studies are like love, resistance, hope. And as I kept learning about like the material, I kept like I felt like just so many voices were just important to keep telling and remembering that we were such like capable individuals. So ethnic studies really allowed me to have an impact on the way that I read my material and then also taking that material outside into life. I felt like I could approach people in a different way after learning about some of these histories that are still very prevalent in today's society. So I think taking it onward beyond the course material or like classes in general, like you can really do a lot with ethnic studies in terms of like how you see yourself, how you see other people, how you engage with the world and what you want to do with your life. I think a very important impact as well, in addition to like why I felt like ethnic studies was like something very important to me, was I started to like envision my own life. And I think like as a person who identifies as like a marginalized community, that's so important because when you start to plan your own future and you start to see that vision in you, that just like keeps te hace de echar más ganas, it gives you more power, it gives you like that energy that you need to just like push through that last assignment, to graduate the stage, to maybe forgive someone. That's so important. And I feel like ethnic studies really gave me that.
Thanks, Kiara. Citlali, how about you? Impact of ethnic studies on your life?
For me, I was able to be a part of SJA as Jasmine was. And it really did help me come out of my shell. I was always the quiet one in the corner. I was always the one just going to class, doing my homework, and that's it. But SJA and ethnic studies taught me that I do have a voice, and that the things that I was going through at home was similar to what other people were going at home, not just from being a woman, but also being a Chicana. The history of where it's like you had to just assimilate and go with whatever they were being told and whatever they wanted you to do, and just being that way, I knew that I didn't want to follow that path. I knew that I wanted to be able to heal my little self, as well as like be able to heal like other young Chicana or Latinx women in my life, and just women of color in general, to be able to experience what I went through in SJA and open up and like use my voice to speak up.
Citlali. Okay, Olympia, I'm gonna give you a 2-for-1 here. Let's go bridge you to the next question. Okay, so same question, right? What impact has ethnic studies had in your life? But then also, if you can also talk about maybe why you chose ethnic studies, like why you chose to take that first class, or why you chose to major in the major that you did. So 2-for-1 there, okay? All right.
Well, ethnic studies. Well, I didn't start with ethnic studies. I actually started with political science because I always knew like I wanted to advocate for Black people, advocate for people of color, advocate for marginalized people. And so I thought, oh, I'll be like a political science major. Went into the classes, absolutely, did not like it at all. And I took an ethnic studies class and I just fell in love with it. I figured that ethnic studies fit more with what I wanted to accomplish with my life than political science. And ethnic studies, honestly, for me, here at Chabot, I don't have any specific ethnic group that I'm like attached to. I'm really an ethnic studies major, and when I'm transferring to San Francisco State next year, so thank you. There, when I get there, I have to choose, so it will be Africana studies, but it's just really so much value in learning about other people, learning about cultures, and that's why I didn't decide to just go with African American studies for my time here at Chabot, because I really wanted to be exposed and have the ability to relate to everybody that I come across. After completing many ethnic studies courses with like literally the fabulous teachers we have here, they're all so awesome and I appreciate them a lot. I feel a deeper understanding for others' struggles. Like my whole life, I've known about Black struggle. I live Black struggle every day. And so I know about Black struggle. But at Chabot, I was able to understand, Latinx struggle. I was able to understand Asian American struggle. I was able to understand a women of color struggle. And and just off the top of my head, like while I'm just sitting here on the spot, right? Some of the different groups of people that are marginalized within our country. And I feel like when I know them better, I can advocate for them better. Like I really choose to spend my life advocating for other people, sticking up for other people. Oftentimes I've been met with this attitude of, oh, like Olympia, that goal is too big, you can't accomplish it. But nah, like I can, and I can because I have passion and I have like so many people behind me that I know, like I want to see them doing good, but I'm going to make sure that they're in a position to do that. And so, because a lot of people have done that for me too. And so that's really how I like got into ethnic studies. That's how ethnic studies has impacted my life. And also it's kind of like why I chose ethnic studies too. So I think that was really a 2-for-1. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Olivia. I appreciate that. Okay. Again, I'm kind of going to jump around here. Let's go back to Jaslyn. And again, the question is why'd you choose ethnic studies, and maybe talk about like that first class you chose, or maybe why you chose that major.
So the first time I was introduced to ethnic studies was in SJ when I was in high school. And it was like we had like an assembly about what every academy was about, and I seen SJ, and it was just like it was talking about things that I've never heard talked about in the classroom. It was talking about things that that was actually connecting with students. Like I remember when Mariah was talking about people skipping class, like I'd fall asleep or I'd just be bored or I'd just do the work just to do the work, but I didn't feel any type of like importance with myself or importance with my peers. And like once I finally had that journey in SJA and with ethnic studies, it like Kiara was saying, like it really just touched my heart and like really hit a value in me that was something that I wanted to be lifelong, and that ultimately became like the drive in the career choice that I have.
Thanks. I'm gonna jump back to your SJA colega over there, Siklali. Same question.
So for me, I think I answered it also in the first one, but for me, the reason I chose ethnic studies and to major in it was ever since I was little, like I knew I always wanted to teach and be a teacher, but I never knew exactly what I wanted to teach until, like Jasmine said, like being in SJA and being in a space where you felt safe, where you felt heard. I want to be able to take what I experienced, like I said, give that especially to women and women of color and Latinx women, where we're always being told like, no, like you have to be quiet, or you hear the saying, Caelita te ves más bonita. And I'm just like, no, thank you. So I decided that's why I wanted to major in it. And I also want to be able to take what I've learned and not just show it to other, like when I'm teaching, but share it to like Jasmine said earlier, when if and when I decide to have kids, like I would want to be able to heal them from and not have to experience what I did when I was younger, being a part of that community and just be able to go outside the cycle.
Thanks. Abigail, what about you? Right? Why'd you choose ethnic studies?
So growing up, I kind of had different experiences with the education system, seeing and like experiencing the inequities between resources and stuff like that. So I saw that, but I didn't know like about like ethnic studies again. And then as I got older, I got really involved and started doing social justice work around Black Lives Matter within the anti-Asian American community or hate community and everything. So I was working with a lot of like grassroots organization and things like that. But I definitely chose to do ethnic studies because I wanted kind of to understand more about everything. I wanted to expand my knowledge, understand what I could do to help stand in solidarity with other communities, and what I could do to help teach others, or like, yeah, and just like show my support to other groups so that we could kind of fight the system.
Abigail. Christian, what about you?
I feel like my thing is I've known about this type of thing for like a while, but when I was like probably first introduced to what colorism was, like I feel like that was kind of a turning point in my life. Because I understood it in like the basic sense, but I didn't know what the word was. And then when I finally was like talking about it in high school with either other teachers or like my friends, I feel like that kind of just changed everything, because I got to see either who didn't understand the issue, who didn't understand why it was an issue, and who did and wanted to actually speak on it but didn't necessarily know how to. And then on top of that, like I had in high school, I took an intro to ethnic studies class as like a dual enrollment class, and it was here. And this was like a class that I took in summer of 2019. and I was able to just discuss with the professor just like a bunch of different things, right? And so right after that, once school started again, I was in these two Afrocentric classes. It was history and literature, and I was able to have two teachers who like understood so much about it and understood like that the impact that they may have. And mind you, neither of these professors, I mean, neither of these teachers were actually even Black, but they just understood the value in learning it. So once I finally got to Chabot, I was able to like go into so many different classes that just showed what this type of like what the value is in all of this. You know, I wanted to figure out like, geez, it's almost hard to explain, like, because the impact it's had is just crazy to me. But I just geez, I almost don't even know how to explain it. Like I wanted to discuss these types of things for just a long time, and then being able to finally like speak with people who are more aware of it, either through just like maturity, what they've gone through. It's like you get to see just how much you relate to somebody else, you know? And so yeah, I'll just leave it at that, honestly.
I know. I think you're doing a great job of explaining yourself, Christian. Yeah. Let's see here. Kiara, same question, right? Why'd you decide to choose ethnic studies?
I chose ethnic studies because of my teachers. I think at Chabot, a lot of the teachers here are teaching like their own experiences and the experiences of other people. Specifically, like I took a Chicano studies class when I entered Chabot College because I wanted to like learn more about my own identity, and also I knew that this major was going to allow me to tap into other identities experiences as well. So when I stepped into those classes and I actually got taught by Professor Mercado, those teachers are like very impactful when you're learning through them, because they're the ones that have already gone through the experience of being like in higher education and then learning about the content that are ultimately going to be like, it's going to be very personal, or it felt very personal to me when I was learning about that, because it felt like it was like encouraging. You don't even have to say the word like, I'm going to encourage you to feel encouraged by teachers who are teaching the same content that relates to you specifically. But that's what I felt like. And I think that was like a very strong aspect as to why I chose Chicano studies as my major. And I also chose it because of the learning experience that it was exposing me to. Chicano studies is a discipline where you're able to research your like topics that you're interested in. You're also able to like read through so many like dense course material, and I think that like those skills, I really enjoyed the learning process of it, and I feel like I can take it, and I feel confident in myself now that I'm able to like do those things.
Kiara, Carlos,
What was the question?
why'd you choose ethnic studies, right? Maybe think about a class or what major, right? Like, why'd you choose those things?
So I took an ethnic studies course in high school. And I did a bunch of stuff in high school regarding just advocacy, but I was still very focused on music. And so when I came to Chabot, I was a vocal music major here. But I quickly discovered it was very Eurocentric, right? And if we listen to music nowadays, if you listen to R&B, hip hop, the rhythms, the riffs, the runs, things like that, it all goes back to history. It goes back to the way music has developed through storytelling. And it just wasn't for me. It was very much, you have to sing classical, you have to sing this kind of way. I very much grew up in a mariachi kind of family. And so my vibrato is a little more heavy and my voice a little more, forward. It was like, no, you can't sing like that. You have to change that. So I said, oh, the hell with that. I don't want to do that then. I don't want to be in this kind of environment. So I took ethnic studies 1. I think it's intro to ethnic studies here. Yeah. My first year. And so, it was just a requirement. I wasn't really sure about it. It wasn't something I thought about necessarily. But then, the next year I took history with Profe Mercado. I forgot. I'm not going to ask you because I forgot which one it was. But there was one of them, and it it was just the most impactful class. I mean, I remember we watched a movie 1970s about the Chicano education, how Chicanos had viewed education and the lack of, I think it was Walkout or something like that. Yeah. And it's one of my favorite movies to this day. It's one of my favorite movies to this day. And it was because Profe Mercado introduced me to the movie. And I started to really dive deeper into my people's story. And now navigating into the end of life healthcare field, it's that I can listen to stories from all people of color, all genders, all sexualities, and the differences and inequities. Ethnic studies was the reason that I got into this, and because of that, I was interested in ethnic studies, and that's kind of how I think it really was something I fell into.
Okay, Profe, you got your last on deck here for this one, right? Why'd you choose ethnic studies? And can you think about like deciding to take that first class or why you majored in what you did, right? And eventually pursue the degrees that you did.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in my time, there was no ethnic studies requirement. There was really a lack of ethnic studies departments or programs, right? And my way, I think when I went into community college, I was like, I want to be a political scientist. And then I went to government classes and I was like, nah, that ain't it. No, and then I went to like trying to be a respiratory assistant or something. And I was like, nah, I can't pass chemistry or something like that. And I tried all these routes, right? Like I wanted to be a philosopher at one point, and Aristotle and Plato, or just like, no. And I finally went to sociology, right? Just sociology was the closest thing that I was like, all right, I can learn about, Latinx community, right? I can learn about all these other communities. They're part of society. And it wasn't until I think Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara, that they had, a Chicano studies department there, right? And they had a Black studies department there. And there, I stemmed out of I got out of the sociology department and went into those departments, really trying to get mentorship from them. And it was there that I was really that really was like, all right, if I'm going to do something with this degree and I'm going to do something about my career, then I'd rather get a doctorate or PhD in something that's related to ethnic studies, right? Like Latin American Latinx studies. I mean, especially as a migrant, right? I'm from Ecuador. Came here when I was 6 years old. I was part of the process, when I was in 3rd grade. The teacher was like, we had to teach you Spanish and English, how to read and write in Spanish and English before you can learn how to write and read in English or something like that. And so, but there was a legislation that passed, and like halfway through the year, they're like, no more Spanish for you. And I was like, what happened? And through, anyways, going back to the PhD program, right? What made me decide, right, why ethnic studies? Because I think it really allows, it gave me, right? And I think it gives a lot of us some type of way to understand our reality, right? I think mainly it comes through concepts, right? I think as Christian was saying earlier about colorism, right? It gives us, we experience these things, but don't have a vocabulary for it. I think ethnic studies gave me some vocabulary to understand, right? Like what is happening in my community, right? Like the white supremacy, right? I came to understand why, like my grandma would be like, would prefer if I like date someone who's lighter skinned, right? And I'm like, oh, what is that, right? And that's racism, that's white supremacy, right? Help me understand, why so many hardworking gente, right, are continuously exploited, and and the rich are getting sort of like privileged in this society, right? It helped me understand a lot of things. Give me some type of language, right? And also help me understand that knowledge, doesn't just come from the books, right? It comes from community. So when I was doing my own research, right, I was like, how do I go back to my own community? And in a moment, right, where the prison industrial complex, mass incarceration is the thing that most impacts us, right? So especially communities of color, right, working class communities of color. And so when I went in my own research, right, looking at particularly graffiti and street art, right, I started seeing why Banksy and all these other folks get, all this major frame, and then all my homies and homegirls in the hood are getting all arrested and fined, right? Who gets money for this and who does time, right? And it really sort of gave me these concepts and gave me a sort of awareness, right? Raising my consciousness that knowledge also comes from community, right? That grafiteros, grafiteras, mob up or take over space in the city, because there are no cultural spaces out here for us, right? And there's also a way in which to make ourselves visible, right? In a city that makes us invisible, right? Tries to marginalize us. But anyways, I go off. It gave me a sort of language, right? It drew me in, right? to really sort of explain my reality. I think it offers that to a lot of us. But that's.
Thanks, Profe. I guess I'm going to go a little off script, Professor Fisher, here, because I know we only have maybe like 10 more minutes here. But I do want to have an opportunity for you all, if you have any questions for the panelists. I mean, we have like 10 more here, but look at here's a bunch. So yeah, so if you have a question, maybe say your name, like where you're, like what school you're representing, and then the question to the panel. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So I'm Veda, she, her. I'm from James Logan. And I remember someone said that they were a healthcare major. So I guess my question is, how difficult is it to maintain a degree in healthcare and ethnic studies? And do you see more similarities in those two areas of academia?
I think we had a couple, right? Carlos and Abigail?
So, okay. So yeah, so my background's in behavioral health. So I am still in the healthcare field, but just in that aspect. And I going towards my licensure for marriage and family therapy, which is helpful in our healthcare field for behavioral health. It's hard. It's hard to maintain both because there is overlapping ideas. The one difference I'll say for me in the more behavioral health sense is that there's a lack of awareness, there's a lack of understanding. So you have to do your own research. It's sad that it's still like that to this day, but I've had to do my own research on why a woman, an East Asian woman, I can only recall this because this is my most recent case I just worked on, an East Asian woman with late stage dementia sweeps all day as an activity to keep her busy, and my white peers find that to be problematic when that was her reality before the onset of dementia. So understanding those kind of cultural concepts from ethnic studies and then from that behavioral side has definitely, I think, allowed for similarities, but it is very hard to maintain both. And I'll let you go.
Yeah, I agree. It is hard to maintain both. But I do like that challenge because it allows me to push myself and be able to apply whatever it is I'm learning from either end to my day to day. So like for me to go into nursing and also pursuing ethnic studies as my other major, and also just like from my personal knowledge, it has truly allowed me to see the ways that ethnic studies can help me through like the nursing field. So I'm in the process currently of trying to get into a nursing program. So we'll see how that goes. We're still waiting on results on that. But I'm hoping that from what I'm learning in ethnic studies and trying to balance and seeing like this whole overlap between both types of fields, and not just like in healthcare, it's in every field that you could apply ethnic studies. The whole critical consciousness, it is such a valuable mindset to have. And honestly, like even though it is challenging, I've appreciated like the work that I've done for it, and like I could see myself like using this throughout my life. So even though like yes, it may be hard, it's a lot of work, I do find value in that work.
Both. I'm not seeing any questions from the chat. So maybe we can go back. Let's see. Let me go to the back here real quick. Sorry.
So when I was in high school, I had the opportunity to be in the Social Justice Academy as well. And I had the opportunity for a unit to learn about my culture in Puerto Rico. And I was just curious if, for anyone who can answer, if learning about your culture changed your perspective on like your family and your life and anything in that sense. So yeah.
Great question. Anyone?
That's a really good question. Yes, I feel like I changed my perception towards my culture because of what I was learning. Um, you get to learn about like so many people that make up a culture, and I think what that does is it allows you to like feel connected to people, like be able to build more community because you feel like you understand a side of them. You're also like able to listen to their stories and value the importance of amplifying like other people's experiences. There is a concept called redefining identities that was in my Women of Color class that actually taught us about understanding that everybody's experiences is going to be different, and that because of those differences, our understanding of the word difference is going to keep expanding because there's people that are going to like identify as Puerto Rican, but maybe they're going to have the Puerto Rican queer in their identity, or they're going to have Puerto Rican black in front of their identity, and those like pillars of like identities are going to be impactful to looking at your culture, because you're going to know that they're all inclusive and like there's just love that's like worth sharing towards those identities and yourself too.
Thanks, Kiara. Anybody else on the panel wanna add? Okay, if you don't. Okay. How about we take another question?
Hi, my name is Caleb. I'm he, him pronouns. And as someone who really wants to go into ethnic studies, like I know money isn't a concern, but like in the Bay Area, it kind of fucking is because it's so expensive here. And like I think that's one fear for me is like I want to go into ethnic studies, but I don't know the job opportunities that are sustainable for me to live in the communities I want to help. Right. Like I do want to go maybe into teaching or something like that, like James Logan, but it's just too expensive to live in that community. So like I guess what are your thoughts on that?
Man, there it is, huh? Capitalism, right?
That
Who
was
wants to take that? Yeah, go for it.
that was a really great question, and honestly also like my concern, right, like picking ethnic studies is absolutely like the whole idea of wanting to be able to provide for my family abundantly, you know. And so honestly, like also I plan on going into teaching, but there's so many companies that you can work for that need ethnic studies. You can like do professional development outside of just teaching. You can be like an advisor or a consultant for a company within like their HR department, making sure like that company is being inclusive or like giving space for all the ethnicities that like the employees that are in that company, they feel seen and heard. And like other job opportunities like that, personally I want to create a culture awareness program where I would contract with K through 12 public school districts and provide them with different ethnic studies events that they would be able to like pick and choose with what they wanted me to do for their school district. So definitely think big. Like this is a field that is like still being explored more and more, and really like you can do whatever you want to do with the degree, for real.
Okay, if I could, no, if I could jump in real quick, I know I got a couple hands. Like, just two quick things. One, and I hope this doesn't sound maybe too naive, but money is not the only thing. Like, you can be making $2 million a year and you think you're going to be happy, but maybe you're not happy in what you're actually doing, right? If this is your passion, if this is what you really want to do, if this is what you love, then that's what you should pursue, right? That's going to sustain you, right? For sure. I think the second thing is that the skills that you're learning and acquiring in ethnic studies, those are the skills that employers are going to want, right? Olympia's just, mentioned a few different types of careers, right? But the critical thinking skills, the writing, right? The analysis, the interrogation, right? The theory, all of those things are what employers are looking for, right? So if you want to be a well-rounded person that has to sort of navigate through this, we know this capitalistic sort of regime we're living in, like we can definitely sort of give you those skills in ethnic studies for sure. Professor Fisher?
I want to talk. And like, look how ridiculous it is to be, you can't even afford to live here and it's pushing so many people out, right? So it's a two-part thing. I think on the one hand, yes, you have to find some kind of financial means to survive for yourself and for your family. And that's real. And no one can tell you otherwise, right? But at the same time, what kind of world do we want to live in, right? Where people are like, oh, I don't want to major in what I'm passionate about because there's no money to be made, right? The way we can do that is, yes, it's a slow and long process, multi-generational, but we can address that. And the skills that we learn in ethnic studies, in your high school, in social justice academy, that's what we can do to organize, to address, affordability, the renters moratorium, the eviction moratorium, right? Living wage, equal pay for genders, right? Higher access to higher education. All those things are not going to change if you get a job in a tech company. That change doesn't happen through entrepreneurial donors and this and this and that. It's all fake, right? Those are things to make it seem like, make people feel less guilty about all the resources that they are hoarding and all the privileges that they are hoarding. And really, the real change happens when people come together, people with no money, no power, right? Completely shit on and disrespected in society. When those people come together and come together with people with money and resources too. We need a diversity of folks, right? But we have the power. We really, really do. And ethnic studies can kind of give that different frame of mind. And when you understand, I mean, what Verai said is so true. Those San Leandro, the Clan Leandro teachers, they were scared of students and youth that are woke, right? Once that eyes open, things can't change. Whether you're in, janitorial services, or you're the city councilman or whatever, right? If that light is already on in your brain, you're never going to see the world, the society, yourself, your community, your family in the same way ever. And you're committed for the long haul, right? To make those differences. I think those are the things that we need to really highlight and value, but also balance that with the reality of survival, right? Because that's real too. We can't shit on that. So thanks for.
I'll get in this case swearing passionately. That's crazy. Good job.
Well, Professor Fisher, look it, we're 5 minutes over. You let me know. Do we have time for another question, or are we? Okay, we got.
Can I say something about his?
Yeah.
This is the thing. Like, what you have to know is that you can multitask. That's one of the best things, period. And a lot of people feel like as if we kind of can't. That's not true. What's crazy is like, the thing is, honestly, like, if you want to do whatever it is you want to do, you should just pursue that, because like, this is advocacy work. But the thing is, we don't want to have to do this. Like, this is something that we just have to do. This is something that we're passionate about because we don't feel as if this is what we deserve. You know what I'm saying? So you should be pursuing your passion, and then on top of that, doing this. You know what I'm saying? This is just something that we have to multitask in. And it's just fun for us because we like helping people. This just is an unfortunate like series of events over history where we just have to continuously just like put our heads together to just like deal with this. But at the same time, it's like we're still going to support each other in our own passions, because that's the point of this. It's like we're trying to work together so that we can actually just do what we want to without having to worry about our skin tone, our background, our ethnicity, anything like that prohibits us from just accomplishing whatever it is we want to do. You know what I'm saying? So this isn't fair, but it's like we like doing this still. So yeah.
Carlos, you want to say? Okay.
Just one quick thing about that question. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I get it. I just moved to Concord, and the rent is batshit crazy for a 1-bedroom apartment. when I got into ethnic studies, I thought about that. I really thought about that. I said, what am I going to do with this degree that's going to fulfill an abundance for my life? I want a family. I want marriage. I want all the things that most people want. But the reality is, it's so damn expensive here. Learn how to sell yourself. Learn how to pick apart what you learn in ethnic studies to become sellable to employers. That sounds kind of weird, I know, but that's how you navigate. That's how you can get into thinking in a broader sense for what you can do with ethnic studies. I never thought I could use ethnic studies for what I do now, counseling people that have just lost a loved one and actually being with them in their dying experience. I never thought ethnic studies had anything to do with that, but it did because I made it that way. I made it that I've learned, I've researched the understanding of people of color and how systemic oppression has led to where we are now with fear, with misunderstanding about the dying process for a Black body versus a Latino body versus a white body. It's unique to each person. So learn how to pick apart ethnic studies and use it to your advantage to make a selling point to employers. Money's not everything, but I get it. But it will come if you learn really how to use what you learned here for different employers. It really will.
Okay, I think I have time. We have time for one more question. Yes.
How do you plan, like our keynote speaker talked about coming back home, how do you plan to use your degrees and your titles to come back home and serve the community, take care of the community, feed the community like spiritually and knowledge? Like, how do you plan to do that? Thank you.
Question? Yeah.
Similar to what the keynote speaker was saying, I do want to be able to come back. I know I grew up in Oakland a lot of my life. So I want to be able to come back and I always knew my mom is also part of the education system in Oakland. I want to be able to be a part of that with her, be a part of making the change. I know there's a lot of help that Oakland needs and a lot of things, especially education wise. And I don't know if you're aware of some people last year, Oakland was going through a struggle education wise. And I want to be able to come back with my degree and teach and educate, similar to what the keynote speaker was saying as well. And I know that it's important to be able to come back from, especially for me, being a part of that. That's where I found myself. So I want to be able to help other people find themselves, and then that in order to come back and help make our community better, help make the space that we live in better. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, when I do transfer, I also plan on majoring in sexual studies, and I want to come back to I want to come back to San Leandro to not have such a binary on what sexual education is. And also, for me personally, I had a time in my life where I was very hypersexual and I didn't know how to navigate the reasons why. And yeah, the reasons why and like the experience and everything. And I want to be able to expand to the community that I went to high school in, to teach like our trans students, to teach our queer students what safe sex looks like, not just for a cis heterosexual relationship, but also like beyond that. And I also want to like, what's the word? I also want to confront these sexual stereotypes we have for a lot of racial groups. And I want to confront the fetishization people have among people when they look at people that they want to have sex with. And I really want to emphasize consent and like emphasize it like not just at a high age, because kids can learn at a young age when all you literally have to tell a kid is no means no. And then people will understand that as they grow older. And also, I wanted to expand compassion for the girls in high school who are labeled as a hoe, for the girls in high school who are looked down on. I understand that just because you chose to have sexual relations with multiple people at a young age doesn't make your value as a human any less, and it doesn't make you I'm really blessed to find a partner that 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 knows a lot of it, that knows that those parts about me, that accepts those parts about me, and doesn't see like just because it's this many people or you did this because of whatever reasons, like I yeah.
Go ahead,
That's
lovely.
my spiel.
Folks, please, let's give it up for our panelists here today. Okay, thank you so much. We still have a big program yet. We're going to have some lunch here in a few minutes. We're going to have some entertainment outside. So thank you. Enjoy yourself. Please fill out your survey, right, to get your lunch. Thanks.
How did you?
Of course. Yeah, good to see you. Take care. I'm good. Trying to get through the end of the semester, but I'm good. I'm good. How's Concord treating you? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Cool. I can try to take care of the English one? Oh, I'm not teaching the English one. Maybe there's some Miss Land's teaching English. Oh, yeah, I think either Miss Land or gosh, like 10. Oh, yeah, yeah. She's on sabbatical this semester, so she'll be back. Yeah, she'll be back. Yeah, for sure. All right, take care. Good day.
Now, music, huh? Yeah. Keep doing it. Yeah. I love the black. I like the second half.